This is the Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto became Digimon after 4th Shinobi War. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
He had passed away. The man who started the 4th Great Shinobi War, Uchiha Madara, was dead at his feet. Only one ninja remained in the world after a long period of waiting. Frowning at the madman's rapidly aging face, Naruto knelt in front of Madara's body. Uzumaki Naruto, the final surviving member of the Shinobi era, soon collapsed to dust and waited to be carried away by the darkness. Numbers and symbols faded in and out of view, transparent figures danced around him, and the darkness quickly vanished and was replaced by a drab blue glow. He was startled by his voice, which was higher than usual, and asked, "Where am I?" "You are in a data field, an ocean of digital information." Transparent figures shook as the voice came from all directions. Fearing he had been caught in another of Madara's genjutsu, Naruto questioned, "Where am I? What is going on?" "Relax, you have not failed. All traces chakra have been erased from your world, save what is needed for its people to sustain life." "Then why am I alive? I should have died, and the age of Shinobi was to die with me," said Naruto. Softly, almost hesitantly, the voice said, "You did die." Naruto raised his arm in front of his face and yelled, "If I died, then what do you call this?" Naruto realized something was amiss at this point. As a shinobi, you trained your body to fight and kill for the rest of your life. A shinobi who receives this kind of training gains an understanding of their own body, which aids in identifying their limitations. Naruto's body was not this. This was the arm of an academy student, albeit a well-known one, and the man was 18 years old. That was just his first realization. As he gazed down at himself in disbelief, he saw that he was weightless and also that he was naked. As he struggled to move in midair, he screamed frantically, "What the hell happened to me? Why am I a kid again?" With a decidedly feminine tone, the voice uttered, "You died, but your soul was burdened by the sins of the Kyuubi. This is your redemption as well as your reward. You have been reborn as a Digimon, a being made of data. You however are different." "What do you mean different, and how is this reward? What am I meant to do?" "Well, most Digimon are more animalistic, lacking human features in their early stages of digivolution. You however, will gain back your previous power as you digivolve. As of now you can only use the abilities you had up to the Chunin exam finals. Fitting as your evolutionary class as Rookie. You are going to be sent to a world different from your own, to fight a battle against evil forces there. If you succeed you will be allowed into heaven when you die. Also this gives you a chance at a life without that fox on your shoulder." Naruto was conflicted about the possibility of living without the fox and the fact that he would have to fight once more. That was quite the reward, to be able to love, to never be sought out or controlled again, and to be able to make friends without worrying about what people would think if they found out. Additionally, that voice was reassuring, like a pleasant recollection he was unaware he possessed. Naruto said, "I accept," after a brief silence. "Now who are you?" Naruto protected his eyes from the dim blue light as it grew stronger. Having wiped the spots from his eyes, he finally saw the person he had only ever seen in his dreams and the faded pictures that were concealed behind his father's face in the Hokage Tower. In front of him was his mother, Uzumaki Kushina, dressed simply in an orange blouse and black dress. She extended her arms to her son, tears running down her cheeks. Due to the height difference, Naruto buried his face in his mother's stomach as he embraced her, his will literally propelling him across the data field. "I am so glad I get to see you before you go. I am so proud of you," she choked out, "my little maelstrom. You have to go now, you have a mission to complete, battles to fight and a young girl who needs you." "Will I see you again, Cousin?" Naruto asked, nodding against his mother as he wiped away the tears that had fallen. She looked down at her child and said, "Of course you will, and by that time you will have had lots of children for me to us to watch over together along with your wife." Naruto's mother squealed and gave him another hug as he flushed. "I never got to do this in life, my little Naru-chan. You blush so cutely." Her voice grew serious, "But you will be giving me plenty of grandchildren, right, Naru-chan?" "Hi Cousin. Maybe with that partner of yours, if anyone could tame my maelstrom it would be a girl like her. She reminds me of me at her age." "Cousin," muttered Naruto. "She is quite the tomboy, but so serious. You will have to break her of that first. She is a redhead too, so the girls will have a better chance of inheriting my hair color." "Cousin," Naruto uttered, growing irritated. "I can't wait to see the boys. They'll probably be as attractive as their father and grandfather." Naruto shouted, "Cousin, I haven't even met the girl yet." "You don't believe I completed my assignments?" she said, giving him a mock, hurt look. "I made sure my baby had the right one because the others were either too naive or boys." I immediately informed Cammy that I would be selecting your partner as soon as I found out you were assigned this task. Since you will be a wildcard and shouldn't technically exist in their world, you have a lot of work ahead of you and need to exercise caution. There might be some factors that aren't taken into consideration because, in addition to Digimon typically remaining in the digital world, you are not from either world. I understand. I will be careful, so when do I go? Naruto nodded. At that moment, a voice could be heard coming through a glowing white doorway. I only want one powerful Digimon. That would be your cue, Naru-chan, Kushina said, making him give him one last squeeze. Do me proud. I'll do it, Kasen, Naruto answered, good luck. Naruto then proceeded through the doorway. There will be none stronger than my boy Makino Rika. Naruto was in a sea of green and blue data streams flying around on the other side of the door. 3 large screens were all staring into a single room where a young red-haired girl sat terrified, and there were a variety of creatures gathered around the screens, some animalistic, some just plain scary, and some strangely adorable. Heeding the girl's cries, Naruto unleashed a lot of killing intent on the group of creatures, which made them run. He went to the center screen. After winning the title of Digimon Queen in a Digimon card tournament, Makino Rika had just returned home. She laid back on the floor with a sigh, placing her deck and card scanner on the table along with her medal for first place. I am so bored. The room's doors suddenly closed, and the light outside turned sickly purple and inky black. Other than the bright light from the card scanner on the table, the rest of the room was dark. What's happening? Rika yelled, not anticipating a response. The light grew and became 3 huge white screens, with the dark faces of numerous Digimon calling out to her on the opposite side of the screens. She's there, the Queen of Digimon. Get me to Digivolve. Give me more strength. Rika was crawling back in terror as their cries became louder and they started to approach the screen. The Digimon was reaching out of the screen, and she cried out, I can't tame all of you, as her back struck the wall. All I want is one powerful Digimon. A lone figure, about her height and oddly human, she had never seen a Digimon like this, came out of the center screen, stopped before the screen, and struck blue eyes shining from a shadowed face. A blue card from her deck on the table started to glow, and the group of Digimon chattered and ran away as if scared. Who are you? With timidity, Rika said. The figure spoke after the eyes briefly brightened. I am a special Digimon, chosen for you, as you were for me. See you soon, Red-chan. The screens all faded out after the figure gave one eye a wink. Rika walked over to the table and discovered the odd blue card with the whirlpool-like pixelated swirling design on it. As she swiped the card through the scanner, she said, okay, let's see what you got. It was a white device with a small screen rimmed in light blue, a blue strap at the top, 2 blue buttons at the bottom, and 1 yellow button above them. As the scanner started to work, numbers flew across the screen until it started to glow and change form, becoming thicker and heavier. She was certain she was dreaming when she looked at it, and as the screen started to shine, Rika's determination returned, and she clutched the D-Arc to her chest, making her wish. I wish I were a real Digimon tamer, that Digimon was mine, and that I knew how to make it Digivolve. The same figure materialized in front of her, and this time she was perplexed. This was not a Digimon, but a boy of her age. He was wearing a long red cloak over a semi-tight white shirt. The cloak had black flame-like patterns crawling up the sleeves and at the bottom. He was wearing loose black pants that were wrapped tightly to his shins by black tape. On his left thigh, a leather cord was tied to a strange green crystal, and he had a bunch of scrolls on either side of his face, which vaguely reminded her of a card holder. His wild blonde hair was held in a wrapped ponytail that fell just between his shoulder blades, and the rest of his hair spiked out wildly, giving him a feral appearance. In the meantime, Naruto was assessing his new partner. She was cute, in a punk kind of way. She wore a brown jacket and shirt with a skull symbol on it, tight jeans that cut halfway down the shins, a few belts wrapped around her thigh, and a nice figure for a girl her age, not that he was looking. Her red hair was in a high ponytail, with a few strands framing her face. Rika came to her senses and glared at Naruto. She had never heard of him as a Digimon, but she would need to learn a little bit about him if she wanted to be his tamer. What's your name? Rika asked. You're not any Digimon I have ever seen. Naruto smiled broadly at her. That's because I was special ordered just for you, Red-chan. Rika frowned after blushing a little. Don't call me Red-chan, what is your name now? Uzumaki Naruto, was his response. Now your Digimon name, Rika said, it always ends in mon. Sorry, Naruto said with a laugh, I told you I am unique. I am a shinobi of the leaf, and my name is Uzumaki Naruto. A picture of Naruto appeared on a holographic disc that appeared just as Rika's D arc started to glow. Uzumaki Naruto, rookie level, type, unknown. I'm a ninja, Naruto said. It may say rookie there, but if those guys from before were any indication, then I am still a cut above the rest. I'll believe that when I see it, she scoffed. My name is Makino Rika, and I am going to be your tamer. I will accept nothing but the best. I'll show you the meaning of true strength, Rika. Chan, Naruto laughed, believe it. Sitting against the wall, Makino Rika gave the alleged Digimon across the room a stern look. What sort of damaged Digimon did I receive? He appears to be an ordinary child. What kind of authority could he possess? I don't intend to share my one futon with anyone else. You're not like any Digimon I've ever seen, so you should be alright outside. What else are you capable of? Kasen said I would have all the strength and abilities I had at the end of the Chunin exam finals. Rika gave him a disbelieving glance and said, Chunin exams? What are those? As of the last time I checked, Digimon are born from eggs and do not have parents. You need to start explaining yourself. You have a lot to do. What the devil are you doing? I told you that I am unique. I wasn't born from an egg, but rather like everyone else. Naruto shouted while shielding his eyes. Rika thought this would be a lengthy explanation, so she decided to get ready for bed. She went to her dresser and chose some pajamas, and as she was taking off her shirt, he heard Naruto yell. What's wrong? As she removes her shirt, she asks. I'm standing right here, so why are you taking off your clothes? With one finger betraying him and giving him a fleeting glimpse of Rika wearing a bra, Naruto sobbed while continuing to cover his eyes. She reached for her belt and said, I am getting ready for bed, and what do you care? You're a Digimon, Data. This kind of thing should be no big deal. With a faint flush, Naruto turned away from the wall and rushed over to take her hands. I told you, I am different. I wasn't born a Digimon, I am not just Data, and I won't digivolve in. Digivolve? With anger in her eyes, Rika screamed, what do you mean won't digivolve? What sort of a crazy Digimon do you have? Instead of some loser who can't even HMPH, I requested a powerful Digimon. Unknowingly drawing them closer, Naruto put a hand over her mouth and held it firmly to her by the back of her head. Calm down and let me finish, he said, now I will let you go, but only if you be quiet. He let Rika go after she nodded, but she immediately slapped him. I never said you could touch me, idiot. She blushed slightly and said, at least let me put on a shirt. As she changed into her nightwear, Naruto nodded and turned around, his face also turning a dusty red. What were you saying, exactly? Now fully dressed, Rika asked. I was saying I won't digivolve in the way you are used to. I won't change form or anything, but I will be giving back control over my more powerful techniques and abilities, along with maybe a slight age increase at some point I think. So your appearance won't change, but your level of power will rise? Yeah, that's about it. I was born in the village of Konoha, and I don't know much about Digimon. I began my Shinobi Corps training there at a young age. Life was difficult, and it became even more so when a lunatic by the name of Uchiha Madara began gathering troops and preparing for a major conflict. He was stronger than we could have ever imagined, and his armies might cause the other villages to fall one by one. My people fought bravely. We fought for the world day and night. When I finally struck him down, I thought that would be the end because I was the only one left. My mother showed up in front of me as I was dying, seemingly on Kami's orders. I was to be reborn as a Digimon and be your partner after being removed from my own world. Rika nodded, taking it all in. There seemed to be a lot more to the story, but she would get to that later. It seemed that her Digimon was once the strongest being in his world, and that once he digivolved, they would be unstoppable. This line of thought led her to another realization. He was real, not just data, but a living soul and body. She realized how close she had been held and blushed in spite of herself. He was some sort of human hybrid, but it was the human part that caught her attention, the part that blushed at the sight of her topples, the side that had seemed to have caused her to topples. Unbidden rage welled in her. You're a pervert. You saw me without my shirt, you grabbed me, you creep, she screamed, slapping him. When I tried to explain, you were the one who ignored me and then yelled at me. Naruto rubbed his head in response. Yes, you can sleep outside for that reason alone. Don't you recall that you told yourself that I would be sleeping outside already? Well, I might have changed my mind, but I was uncomfortable with you in the same room after you sexually assaulted me, smugly, she said. All right, I enjoy being outside anyhow. I could spend days there. Furthermore, why would I want to remain in the same room as a violent girl like you? Naruto said, spreading his arms wide for emphasis. Hard? You'll see violence from me, Rika said as she lunged after him. As Rika looked up at him in shock, Naruto leapt to his feet and stood on the ceiling. "I may not be a Digimon, but I am a ninja. This is simple for even the lowest level shinobi," she said. "Rika-chan, I'll see you in the morning. Enjoy your evening." Rika lost her senses and lay down on her futon after Naruto vanished in a slight blur of motion that was impossible to follow. She pondered, "I wonder what else he can do," as she fell asleep. Naruto was sleeping soundly for someone in his circumstances, lying on Rika's roof with his cloak covering him like a blanket. Neither of them paid attention to the door sliding softly shut or the faint laughter that came from the muffled footsteps coming down the hall. Rika was still exhausted from the previous night's conversation, so she rubbed the sleep from her eyes and went to the shower to get her clothes ready for school. When she was completely dressed in her school uniform, she went out the door to find Naruto sitting on a rock with his feet resting in the small garden pond outside her house, his cloak hanging on the stone lantern next to it. "What are you doing?" harshly, she said. "Relaxing, Rika-chan. You should try it sometime," Naruto said, grinning as he glanced over his shoulder at her. "Oh, she seems to be dressed up. For what purpose?" "Did you never attend school in your previous life?" "I am going to school," Rika said. "It would have been foolish of me to get all dressed up, but where would I keep my kunai?" "I went to school," Naruto said, twirling a kunai. "Wait, you never attended a traditional school where you would have learned math, history, and other subjects?" "Not a civilian school, but we learned history all right," Naruto said with disdain. "My worst subject, it was right before target practice." Rika decided to cut the conversation short and go to school because it was getting on her nerves. She called over her shoulder, "I'll be back at 3 o'clock, then I'll see what you can do." She departed, and Naruto sighed as he leaned back against the rock, thinking that she was his tamer and that he had no right to judge her if she wanted him to relax and wait until she got home. He closed his eyes, determined to have a good nap. "And don't let Grandma see you, for Kami's sake. Additionally, if you call me Chan again, I'll kick your ass," Rika shouted from the gate, waking him from his slumber and sending him plummeting into the pond below. For good measure, she kicked the air as she yelled. After his nap was ruined, Naruto decided to follow Rika and learn more about the world he would be living in. He spit water out of his mouth and shook his head to dry his hair. Rika was sitting in the classroom, staring at her D-Arc, when she noticed a slit on the side and wondered if it still had the scanning ability that it did when it was a card scanner. She discreetly took her deck out of her book bag and looked through it, looking for the blue card from before, but failing to find it, she settled for a modified card called Hyperwing. She scanned it as the D-Arc's screen glowed, and then a loud crack came from outside, followed by a scream and a thud. Rika, along with the majority of her class and her teacher, hurried to the window. There was a tree outside the window with a big branch missing, broken off in the middle. As their eyes followed the suspected path down, they noticed an odd sight. A small boy wearing an odd outfit was apparently unconscious and being weighed down by the branch. Rika was furious. "I told that idiot to stay at home." A couple of teachers stopped by to pick up the boy and take him to the school infirmary, looked up at the remnants of the branch he had fallen from, and then left. The school principal, a short woman in a clean business suit and skirt, with her hair pulled back in a tight bun, entered the room and looked out at the class through small half-rimmed glasses. "There was a young boy who fell from a tree earlier today," she said. "He is still unconscious, but the tree he fell from was just outside this classroom, leading me to believe one of you know him." The majority of the class gasped when Rika raised her hand because the girls were all restless in their seats, looking at one another to see who it might be. None of these looks were directed at Rika. "Maki knows Rika, that is quite a surprise," the principal said, giving her a strange look. "If you would give me a description of the boy in question to be sure." No one in the class had been able to get a clear view of the boy, only his red clothes and blonde hair. "The idiot has some funny-looking whisker marks on his cheeks," Rika barked. "Well, then I would like you to come to the office with me," the principal said. "We will have to call your mother. Having young boys disrupt classes is not acceptable behavior." As she was escorted out of the room, Rika muttered, "It's not like I asked the idiot to follow me." 30 minutes later, Rika and her grandmother sat in the principal's office. As usual, her mother was unable to attend because she was in a photo shoot. "Now Mrs. Makino," the principal began, "there was a disruption this morning. A young boy fell from a tree looking in on your granddaughter's class." The principal interpreted Rika's grandmother's simple nod and smile as an indication that she was handling everything quite well. The principal laughed and remarked, "Now I know how girls at her age catch the eye of young boys," adding that these boys will do anything to impress them. "However, I think it's crucial to let Rika know that school isn't the place for this kind of behavior and that she should keep her personal life out of her studies and those of her classmates." Rika crossed her arms over her chest and huffed as she looked out the window angrily at the woman from her seat across the desk. Her grandmother then spoke. She dares laugh at her? It's not her fault her Digimon is an idiotic excuse for a ninja, Rika said. As you can see, the boy in question is a friend from her early years. Oh, I agree, but that is not the case, Rika said, taking a moment to think. We have taken him in after the recent deaths of his parents. Since he didn't know anyone growing up in a small town outside of this city, he most likely followed Rika to school in an attempt to keep himself occupied until he was enrolled. When her grandmother noticed Rika's distress, she put a reassuring hand on her shoulder and gave her a, "We'll talk later, look." Rika was filled with questions. How did Grandma know Naruto? Why would she lie for them? Did she know he was a Digimon? The principal said, well, as long as it doesn't happen again, everything is forgiven. I think Rika should go to class now, and I'll have the nurse put the boy in a wheelchair so you can take him home. As Rika's grandmother said, that would be most appreciated, she said, have a good day, Rika, and see you at home. Rika returned to class after that, completely ignoring her D-arc, choosing instead to gaze out the window and consider the discussion she would have with her grandmother. The futon was currently resting on a small dresser near the left wall, which was the only ornament in the strange room Naruto woke up in. He winced at the bump he discovered there and rubbed his head. For him, this was odd because he usually recovered fairly quickly. Note to self, being a Digimon means being shorter, but not as good as Kubi, he said, observing a few scratches on his arm fade. Note to self, Kubi gone equals longer recovery time. Someone at the door said, so you're awake. Naruto reached for his kunai pouch despite his condition, but since he couldn't find it, he assumed a defensive position and faced the door, ready to confront the possible adversary. A kind-faced elderly woman then slapped him on the head and chastised him for moving in his state. You fell from a tree at 2 stories, she chided, you could have died before you finished your job here. Naruto said, what do you know of my mission? In shock. You have been sent by the divine, have you not? She asked, to watch over Rika? Yes, the divine, Naruto grinned. His mother was as near an angle as he had ever seen. I do not know what is going to happen, Mrs. Makino whispered, but whatever it is you must do your best to watch over Rika, she needs a friend. Naruto scowled a little. Was it for her granddaughter's benefit that this woman had so easily accepted his presence? Did she genuinely love her so much that she would ask any spirit to assist her? Then he became aware of something. His eyes trailed down as he whispered, Rika, she doesn't have any friends? No, that girl can be quite cold to people, she sighed, it's not her fault really, her mother is always busy, and when she is here she is always forcing Rika to do things she doesn't want to. Rika wants to be her own person, but in doing that she forged a personality that naturally rejects company, she prefers to do things on her own. What about her father? Naruto asked, nodding. The elderly lady frowned at this. Rika's mother left him, she said, she started modeling young, and married too soon. During the months she was out of work due to pregnancy the loathsome man pressured her to get an abortion, also that he could continue to live lavishly off her success. Naruto clenched his fists because he couldn't tolerate such people. When the elderly woman saw how uncomfortable he was, she gently stroked his forehead and brushed his hair away. He gladly accepted this gesture, which provided him with a comfort he had not had as a child. Don't be angry Naruto, she smiled, if not for him we wouldn't have our dear Rika-chan. Her mother had no idea how to raise a child so she moved here to our family home. I helped raise Rika, while she dedicated all her time to modeling to pay for all kinds of toys for Rika and also pay bills here after her father's death. Even now she works to pay for the tuition to private school for Rika. She wants her daughter to not have to rely on her looks for a living. The time she spends with Rika are hard for her, she tries to relate to her, but they are so different, it kills her that she tries so hard to do good by her daughter only to be treated coldly. She loves her daughter very much. Naruto smiled, so you hope that I can help Rika realize that she has people who care for her, she nods, as well as protect her from anything that may bring her harm, another nod, and build a friendship with her that will help guide her through the perils of life? Naruto sighed when Rika's grandmother gave him a gentle smile and nod. He had a soft spot for those in need. Okay, Naruto said with a smile, I promise I will do my best to take care of her. Nothing will harm Rika while I am around, or my name isn't Uzumaki Naruto. Thank you Naruto, thank you, said Rika's grandmother as she gathered him in an embrace. Once more, a figure in the doorway was disregarded, but this time, her pale cheeks were wet with tears. Unbidden tears were still streaming from Makino Rika's eyes as she slammed the door to her room and collapsed into her unmade futon. Did I really hurt you so bad Kasen, Ba-san? The next morning, Naruto woke up in the room that Rika's mother had declared to be his. It beats the roof, despite its simplicity. He sighed as he remembered what had happened the night before and got out of bed, still fully clothed except for his battle cloak, which was folded neatly on the dresser. He concluded that he needed to take a shower. He was certain that the house's occupants were probably asleep because it was early on a Saturday. He picked up a towel from the hall closet and walked to the bathroom. After entering, turned on the shower and changed the temperature. He undressed and threw his clothes on the counter in a heap while the shower warmed up. His long hair cascaded down his back in a spiky mane after he undid his hair wrappings. Naruto felt a surge of energy as he stepped into the shower, removing the tension of his new role as Rika's guardian angel. He felt so much better when he emerged from the shower a few minutes later. He dried his long hair and toweled down, but when he reached for his clothes, they were gone and replaced with. When Naruto crept into Rika's room, he discovered her motionless on her bed, still wearing her school uniform, her eyes red and swollen even when she slept, and her pillow covered in tears. Occasionally, her eyes would flinch as though she were having a nightmare. In an attempt to wake her from her slumber, he gave her a gentle shoulder shake. He whispered, "Rika-chan, wake up, I need your help badly." When Rika woke up from her nightmare, she saw herself, shivering in the bitter cold, her teeth chattering, her lips blue. Even after touching her, her mother and grandmother were frozen solid due to the extreme cold she was experiencing. She was too far gone to be saved, but even in death, their eyes gazed lovingly and warmly at her. Then, as she started to thaw and the people around her vanished, she felt an odd warmth and heard someone say, "Rika-chan, wake up." She opened her eyes slowly, and Naruto saw her turn to face him. Even though her eyes were puffy, there was a strange longing and a glimmer of hope in them. However, it vanished as quickly as it appeared, to be replaced by a fierce, feminine expression. She kicked him in the face and yelled, "What the hell are you doing, you perverted excuse for a Digimon?" With all of his strength, Naruto held onto the towel covering his lower half as he flew back with the force of the kick. He landed hard on the ground and got up, massaging his aching face. "What the hell, Rika?" Naruto yelled, "It's not my fault I took a shower and my clothes disappeared." Rika snarled and glared at Naruto, her gaze shifting to one of evaluation as she scanned his body. She saw that he was well built, with a body that any boy his age would be envious of, and that his long, spiky hair, which was still a little damp, hung around his back and shoulders. That, along with the whiskers on his face, gave him a savage appearance that made Rika flush. At this moment, she became aware of the card he was holding, or rather, waving, in her direction. "I don't know what to do with it," he said, attempting to ignore the way she had just stared at him. This showed up where they were. Rika examined the card, which featured an image of Naruto standing on an earthen pillar with leaves and wind whirling around him. With a long scroll spread out in front of him and a kunai knife in his mouth, he stood erect while his cloak billowed in the wind. The caption for the modified card said, "Naruto's Battle Cloak." "It's a modify card," Rika said. "I don't know what to do with it. The last time I scanned one, nothing happened." "Was that what you were doing in class?" Rika nodded. "That was the last thing I saw before I was suddenly launched upwards. I hit my head so hard the branch broke. Next thing I know I woke up in the room next to yours with your grandmother yelling at me to rest." Naruto saw Rika's expression waver when she mentioned her grandmother, but it quickly returned to a contemplative expression. "Keep your towel on, Ninja Boy," Rika said. "I think I know what to do." The title, Ninja Boy, made Naruto snort. He was a decent shinobi.air.mon. Ignoring him, Rika reached for her D-arc. She looked at the card, then at the slit, and grabbed it. She said, "Here goes nothing." Rika would never forget the eyeful Naruto gave her when his form was swept up in a swirl of wind immediately after the swipe. Rika turned her head away, flushed. She turned to see Naruto's old clothes in the way of a ring of data that was rapidly flying up his bare chest. "That was so cool," Naruto laughed. "Do you know how long it takes to wrap my legs every morning?" Rika was still flushed and turned her head away, thinking, get Naruto new clothes. She didn't want to deal with a nude Naruto each time the modify card expired. She instructed Naruto to wait by the pond while she got ready, without turning around. She changed into a white shirt with blue sleeves and a yellow collar after taking a nice shower, and she met Naruto outside. She had her deck, her D-arc on her belt, her regular jeans with the buckles, and the image of a purple heart split in two on the front. Just in case, she kept Naruto's modify card at the top. She topped it off with a long, sleeved jacket that was light tan in color. Her slight change in appearance caught Naruto's attention. It was cute, but in a punkish way. "Stupid naked Digimon." Rika approached him while doing her best to contain the rush of blood to her head. She curtly stated, "We are going to get you some new clothes." "Why?" he whined. "I look fine, and more importantly, battle ready." Rika sighed. "You, Digimon are not, look like a regular human. and wearing that you look like some cosplayer. It would be a hassle to have you sneak about everywhere, so we are going to get you clothes so you can blend in. All right, Naruto replied, but no needless belts. It was going to be a long day, Rika sighed. Naruto shouted, I said not unnecessary belts. I am your tamer, what I say goes, Rika said smugly, besides consider it a sign of our relationship. Deadpan, Naruto said, it's a collar. Exactly, smirking, Rika said. Naruto snarled. It had been a bad day. Rika kept holding things up to him while shaking her head and choosing something else. At first, he was dragged from store to store. He felt as though they were being watched the entire time, which made matters worse. She finally decided on his current outfit, which wasn't all that horrible. For safety, he was wearing black cargo pants with a chain that ran from the belt loop to the pocket. He intended to lengthen the chain and fasten a kunai to it later. Underneath his tight white sleeveless shirt was a short, sleeved fishnet shirt. He wore a black vest with no sleeves that had 2 zippered pockets and was unzipped. His hair, which was still as wild and spiky as usual, was held back in its customary wrappings. The little accessory that Rika insisted on was what made him angry, not the clothes. His neck was securely held by a silver cracked heart charm on the front of a plain black collar. In particular, he had warned against needless belts. They were in a slightly darker store than the previous ones, which was fortunate for Naruto because it made it easier to see their tiny tag. At the corner of his eye, there was a flash. Naruto called to a clothes rack, who's there? Rika turned her head to the rack mentioned earlier and silently cheered her victory over her Digimon. Rika and Naruto were momentarily stunned when a man carrying a camera suddenly appeared. A bright flash followed. The photographers left the shop when the door rang. Rika started to worry that she would never hear the end of it if those photos were leaked and the girls at school or, worse, her mother saw them. Naruto after him, ordered Rika. Naruto nodded and pursued, and Rika was pleased that he would follow her advice in the end. As she fled the store, she noticed Naruto stopping the photographer's getaway a few blocks away. She hurried up to them just in time to witness the man throw the camera to Naruto, who then fled across the street and vanished into the crowd. Rika popped the back off and bit back a curse as she asked Naruto for the camera. She snarled, he took the memory card, the creep. Naruto asked, why did he want your photo, Rika-chan? Not my photo, Naruto, she sighed, our photo. My mother is pretty famous, so I am a person of interest by proxy. Those photos will be in some gossip magazine by tomorrow, probably insinuating that we were on a date or something like that. Which will have Kasen running home wanting to know who you are, and if we are together, and when is the wedding? It's the same every time I am photographed with any guy. Once it was a foreigner asking for directions, they had a field day with that one. Naruto nodded. It must be awful to be watched all the time, with everyone anticipating your next move. It must be twice as difficult for her mother if it was bad for Rika. It's getting late, so Naruto suggested that we head home. Indeed, it was already getting dark outside, and Rika had spent the entire day dragging Naruto from store to store without even noticing the time. She had fun, but she would hardly acknowledge it to herself. At his suggestion, she nodded and started walking home. It was dark outside, and Naruto watched every shadow they saw, as though something might suddenly appear and attack. He ought to have continued to focus on the road. A beam of light struck the ground in front of them like lightning, and a thick mist erupted from the impact point. From the pocket of her jacket, Rika took a pair of blue-tinted glasses and put them on. As though the smoke didn't actually exist, a strange, heated wind emerged from the haze without dispelling it. With a faint flashback to his encounter with Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the bloody mist, Naruto remarked, I sense a strange power coming from the fog. Naruto laughed and said, it seems like this is your chance to see what I can do. Rika recognized Digimon, a strange flaming cat that appeared out of the mist, as Lynxmon. As the beast threw Naruto to the ground, she declared, Lynxmon versus Naruto. Naruto. Digi. Modify, Naruto's battle cloak activate. A strong wind surrounded him as the best's hot breath pressed down on him, stoking the fires even more. Naruto used the momentum from his kick to shift into a handstand and, with a flick of his wrists, get back on his feet as his battle cloak came around him. He had forced his leg up and kicked just below Lynxmon's chin, forcing the beast off him. Rika gaped in wonder as Naruto claimed that although he was unique, it was crazy for a rookie to strike a champion like that. She was ecstatic as Naruto leapt high into the air, overcoming the beast's wild nail rush attack. Pulling a scroll from his belt, Naruto unlocked a Fuma Shuriken from his perch above Lynxmon. Then, fanning it out, he started to fall headfirst. He saw what appeared to be a young boy's ghost standing high above the battle, wearing his pajamas, no less, as he started to corkscrew his body. He roared as he released his blade, which curved in midair and sliced Lynxmon in the middle. The beast screeched and started to disintegrate into data particles. When Naruto extended his hand to touch the particles, some of them were absorbed into his skin. The burning sensation from the shuriken's contact with his hand vanished, and any fatigue he had started to diminish. He shook it out of his hand, though, because he sensed something else in the dust. He sensed a life force emanating from it, similar to chakra. Even as he watched the data start to fade back into the haze, he knew that this beast was going to be reborn. Just like before, the creature was being given another chance at life. Rika watched as Naruto's cloak wavered and vanished, and she could see that he was absorbing some of the data. Why did he stop? Would he not become stronger as a result? Didn't those Digimon games operate that way? What are you waiting for? Finish absorbing the data, Rika said. It will make you stronger, won't it? To which Naruto replied, I would guess so. With a tone of frustration, she said, then why don't you finish absorbing the data? Because Rika, Naruto responded, wherever this thing came from, its life force is returning there. It is going to be reborn, maybe this time as a gentler being. Rika scoffed, Digimon are not gentle, they were born to fight, and they are all just data. Naruto questioned harshly, am I just data, Rika? Even though Rika's heart was tight, she remained determined to win this debate. Well, of course you are, you're a Digimon, aren't you? Rika replied, you aren't human. Because she was unaware of the consequences of her words, Naruto turned away from her as his eyes darkened. He didn't want to strike out at her. I'll see you at home, Rika, but think about this, if I am just data as you say, then what are these memories I have? How do you explain how different I am from the others? Why do your words hurt so much, Rika, if I am just data and nothing more? Naruto said, his voice cracking slightly at the end. Rika hung her head in embarrassment as Naruto vanished into the vanishing mist. How could she say such a thing? Did she really push people away so coldly? Perhaps her grandmother was correct. Even worse, she had completely denied Naruto his own existence, treating him like a piece of data, even though he was meant to be her partner. As she drove home, she felt more depressed than she had ever been. She made a self-promise to apologize to Naruto tomorrow because she was exhausted. She anticipated taking off her clothes and getting a good night's sleep when she entered her bedroom that evening in order to summon the courage to apologize to Naruto. She wasn't sure how to go about it because she wasn't used to saying she was sorry for anything she said. But instead, she found her grandmother and mother waiting for her. Her grandmother frowned slightly, perhaps concerned about how late she was out, and her mother smiled broadly while holding a manila envelope. Her mother crooned, Rika dear, you never told me you had a boyfriend, what's his name? It was going to be a long night, so Rika palmed her face. He is not my boyfriend, yelled Rika angrily. Her mother questioned, he's not, but all these photos. Her mom pulled several pictures out of the envelope and spread them out on the table. There were several pictures of her and Naruto together, with her pulling him by the collar of his cloak as they went from store to store. She was looking through clothes racks as Naruto observed her, smiling unconsciously as she held different items of clothing up to his person. She started to splutter as the blood shot straight to her face. We were, and he, ow. After deciding to feel sorry for Rika, her grandmother cleared her throat and started talking. Naruto is the grandchild of an old friend of mine. His parents passed away recently. He needed to get away from home, in order to get over their deaths, and I offered that he stay here. Rika was kind enough to take him out shopping. His clothes are outdated for the city since he was raised in a small village. Rika's mother said thoughtfully, so his name is Naruto, and then a smile appeared on her face. I think you should go for it anyway, because you two look so cute together, and he is pretty cute, plus I haven't seen you smile in a long time, she said. With a soft, contented smile on her face, Rika's mother gazed longingly at the photo of the girl holding a black jacket against Naruto's chest. Rika's heart tightened at the sight of this, and memories of Naruto's talk with her grandmother that evening flooded back. Was she always this way, hurting people with her indifference, as well as what she said to Naruto that very evening? Her mouth had betrayed her before she even realized it. Cousin, she exclaimed. Rika hadn't called her mother by that in years, so you could have heard a pen drop. She apologized, saying, I don't mean to push you away. I just. Any tears that might have fallen were wiped away by Rika's mother's presence, who had her in a tight embrace in less than a second. She gave her daughter a tender head rub. It's okay, she whispered, I'd already forgiven you, before you said a word. With a smile on her face, Rika's grandmother slipped out the door as she and her daughter held each other for the first time in far too long. She gave the boy who was sitting on the rock by the pond a grateful look. The boy turned to face her as she walked up behind him and put a hand on his shoulder. You did it, she said, I don't know how, but you did. Naruto scoffed, I didn't do a thing, Bachin. I think she was there that night, when we talked. The elderly woman was taken aback. She had not intended for her granddaughter to hear her criticize her in such a negative light. Don't feel bad about it, Naruto chided. She's the type that won't accept her lesson learned until it's forced on her, or she is in a situation where she absolutely must. To tell the truth, I had planned to tell her off tonight, but instead it seems that your words had been eating at her. She said some harsh things to me tonight. It hurt in a way she can't understand and I don't care to explain. What had Rika said to hurt the boy so much, and would he leave now that his job was done? The old woman scowled. I am not leaving, Bachin, Naruto laughed. I have already forgiven her. I am quite adept at that. What kind of guardian angel would I be, if I could not give my ward the benefit of the doubt? Not a very good one, I imagine, she laughed, but something tells me you're no angel. Naruto smiled crookedly at her. You're right, Bachin. I died once, but my soul was weighed down by the sins of another. I have been reborn to watch over Rika. This is my task, but this life without the burden I was once forced to carry is the greatest reward I could ask for. That and passage into heaven so I can be with my loved ones again. You have a long life ahead of you, she said thoughtfully, and so does Rika. How are you to watch over her once she is married, with children and a husband? Don't you think he would be jealous? Having his pretty young wife followed about by a striking man like yourself? Wah! Bachin, Naruto cried. What are you saying? Are you trying to play matchmaker like Rika, Chan's mother? So it's Rika. Chan, is it? She smirked. Maybe I am. But can you deny that you have some feelings for her already? Quickly settling down, Naruto slumped on his rock, his face red. Naruto, she reprimanded, you're blushing. Does that mean you like her? Why do all the women I meet recently keep trying to set Rika and I up? Naruto sighed. You, her mother. Hell, even my mother told me she approves of Rika. She was the one who chose Rika for me to be sent to. I'll have to send prayers to your dear mother for such a gift then. The sincerity in the old woman's voice surprised Naruto. She truly meant it, and he could see it in her eyes. Observing Naruto's intense gaze, she chose to go into further detail. If you never showed up, she sighed, Rika may not have realized her mistakes until it was too late to have a proper relationship with her mother. Whether I will be welcoming you to our family one day or not, I will always be thankful that you came into Rika's life, and reserve a special prayer for your mother who guided you here. Thank you, Bachin. Despite the late night conversation with her mother, Rika woke up the following morning feeling more rested than ever before. Their reconciliation had given this day a fresh start. After pondering for a few minutes the previous evening, she ultimately chose to wing it when it came to apologizing to Naruto. She finished her morning routine and changed into an exact duplicate of her outfit from yesterday, minus the jacket. She noticed Naruto throwing his kunai knives into the tree across the street while he sat on his rock by the pond. His holster had only been taken by Rika's grandmother, who returned them to him last night. It had not vanished. Rika began, Naruto, about last night. Don't worry, Rika. Chan, Naruto said, you didn't know that your words would affect me so much. It has to do with my past. That's not it, Rika continued. Regardless of what effect my words had, I should not have said them in the first place. You're not just data, you have a soul, and a body. You are as alive as I am, and I denied your very existence. Getting off his rock, Naruto approached her and put a hand on each of her shoulders. Listen here, Makino Rika, he said, I will not tolerate moodiness from my tamer. You are forgiven, so just forget about it. She gave him one of her signature smirks when Naruto flashed her a bright smile. Naruto, thank you. After a few hours of strolling around, Naruto and Rika ended up in the park in the late afternoon. While Rika was going through her cards, Naruto took in the view, which made him think a little of the forests that encircle Konoha. A card from Rika's deck was swept away by a sudden gust of wind and caught on a tree branch high up. I got it, declared Naruto. He sprinted directly toward the tree, hoping to use chakra to adhere to it, ascend to the card, and seize it. Rather than feeling his chakra grasp the tree, he felt nothing at all. Running a few paces up the tree, he grabbed the card and made a backward swan dive through the air before kicking off with both feet. Naruto thought, that was strange. Rika acknowledged that it was occasionally difficult to comprehend that the seemingly typical boy in front of her was actually a hybrid of a ninja and a Digimon. Therefore, it shouldn't be shocking when people perform random acts of extreme athleticism. What's odd? She inquired. I couldn't feel my chakra, it's the energy I use to perform my techniques and augment my physical abilities, he replied. Well, when did you feel it most recently? During the battle with Lynxmon, he responded. I used it to get the height on that jump, and to keep my bones from breaking when I landed. After rubbing her chin in contemplation, Rika had an epiphany and pulled out her D-Arc from her belt. Pressing the blue button on the left brought up the same holographic disc, but this time the information was different. "You're in training level right now," she cried. "Apparently you'd digivolved at some point." "My battle cloak," he said, "I have only ever used chakra with it on." Rika quickly realized that the card made from Naruto's clothes was actually his Digivolution card. She had only just discovered that he had done so. "It appears that my only abilities at the moment are my innate strength, speed, weaponry, and stealth. Despite my years of experience, I am probably a good fit for any rookie level even in this form. I have to say," she laughed, "when you first showed up I thought I had gotten the short end of the stick when it came to partners." "Well, you were no cup of sunshine either," said Naruto with a frown. "Shut up, ninja boy. I am trying to pay you a compliment and you're making it harder on me." Naruto said, "Okay, I'll be quiet. As I was saying, I thought I had gotten some loser, but you surprised me." "Good," she said with a smirk. "I'm glad you heard me over all the yelling weaklings that night because you were stronger than any rookie I've ever seen." "It wasn't hard, Rika, your voice called to me," he said. "I was meant to be your partner." The image of Naruto's towel being blown away the first time he digivolved flashed through her mind, and her face turned red. Rika blushed at his choice of words. If he were just a regular Digimon, it would be okay, but he looks so human. She pushed those thoughts away, remembering that he is still a Digimon even though he may not be just data. Rika and Naruto were just heading home when a familiar beam of light flashed down to earth in the distance as darkness descended over the park, and she hurried towards it while donning her sunglasses. "Another one's coming through," she called. "Get in gear, Naruto, or we'll miss all the fun." A voice spoke up ahead of her, saying, "I think you should be the one picking up the pace, Rika-chan." In front of her, Naruto was jogging slowly and backwards. "Show off," she sneered, "or let's just head straight to the fight." With a smile, Naruto said, "I thought you'd never ask." He then shifted forward and caught her stomach lightly on his shoulder, spinning on his heel as he hurried off to the bio emergence site, with a frantic Rika flailing over his shoulder. They arrived in half a minute, and Naruto let Rika get up on her feet, trying to keep her dignity intact despite the situation. As she turned to scold Naruto for manhandling her, she saw that he was staring straight ahead, his eyes shining that same strange blue as they had the night they had first met. The same holographic circle appeared, but this time it displayed an image of the Digimon that Naruto was staring at, the one that had just bio emerged. After Rika's D-arc beeped loudly, so she raised it to have a look. "Look, Gobliman is a rookie, cheats, and has a fireball goblin strike. Where's the sport in that? Naruto, prove yourself to me. I'll only allow you to digivolve if you truly need to." With a sneer, Naruto moved forward and folded his arm across his chest. "It won't take too long. It looks feral, Naruto, whether or not Digimon are just data or something else. We can't let this thing run amok in our city." "I'm glad you have your priorities straight," Naruto said with a laugh. "Fight for protection, and you'll understand what true power is." Naruto dodged to the side, grabbed the Gobliman's arm, and pulled it into a vicious knee to the stomach as it rushed forward, launching its club in a powerful vertical swing. Subsequently, the creature threw itself over its shoulder into a nearby wall, toppling over onto the prone Digimon. "Good job, Naruto," Rika said. "You weren't kidding when you said you could take any rookie, even when still in the training stage." Her happiness was short-lived, as the rubble exploded in red. Gobliman was gone, and its champion-level Digivolution, Fugamon, had replaced him. It snarled and rushed the closest target it could see, which happened to be Rika. It swung its spiked bone club with great force, and as she lay dazed, Fugamon raised his club for the final swing on her. Naruto launched forward to try to save her, but at his current speed he would never make it, and the club started its descent. Time stopped. Rika, Digivolution, after vanishing in a whirlpool of wind. Naruto resurfaced in front of Rika, using one hand to defend himself against the monstrous bone club and the other to assist his tamer. "Are you okay?" His voice took on a familiar tone as he asked. She had never been so sacred in her life, but this Naruto was different. He looked older, his face more angular, and he had a small tattoo beneath his right eye that read, "Oil," in kanji. She also noticed some kanji on the back of his normal battle cloak, but this one read, "Apprentice Sage." He was taller, towering over her by 2 heads, and she felt as though the wind itself had carried her. One moment she was standing in front of the beastly figure of Fugamon, and the next she was 30 yards away, held tightly against her now champion-level Digimon, the long sleeves of his battle cloak shielding everything but her head. Naruto assured Rika, "Don't worry, this will be over soon." She shivered as his voice vibrated against her skin, making her feel safer than ever before. This was a side of Naruto she had not yet encountered, and she found herself enjoying it. When Fugamon grew tired of the conversation, he hurried them with the club held high. Naruto pushed her behind him and began a quick series of hand signals that ended with a modified tiger seal. He puffed up his chest and threw back his head, and as he did so, a stream of thick oil emerged, and he held up his palm, which contained a tennis ball-sized flame. The oil passed through the flame, igniting and sending a massive ball of flame at Fugamon, reducing him to data in a second. Despite Rika's objections, Naruto turned to her and picked her up in bridal style. She fought, aggravating her injuries even more, saying, "I don't care if you are champion level, I am still your tamer, put me down." In order to keep his right hand as calm and soothing as possible, Naruto channeled chakra into it while supporting her with his left arm. After he had done so, he gently ran his hand down Rika's face, letting it rest at her cheek. He mumbled, "Sleep, Rika-chan." Rika's eyes grew heavy, and she soon left. Naruto vanished in a whirlpool of leaves, leaving behind only a cracked sidewalk and a crushed fence as a reminder of what had happened that night. What would you think, though, if a teenager who vaguely resembled the son of your old friend's deceased children showed up at your houses with the slightly battered and unconscious body of your only daughter? Naruto sighed as he was subjected to the younger Makino woman's indignant stare, while the oldest simply looked at him curiously. "Who are you?" her mother inquired, "and what have you done, my daughter?" Naruto looked away, regretting that he had not been able to better protect her. He had promised to keep an eye on her. "Isn't it you, Naruto?" Rika's mother gasped as Naruto nodded. "You can't be," she said, adding that Naruto is only 14 years old. "You appear to be at least 18 years old." Naruto sighed. So far, his new life has consisted of drama, fights, and incessant justifications. "Can we talk inside?" he asked. "I would like to place Rika someplace where she can rest, and I will answer all your questions." Following Naruto's explanation, which revealed details about the Kyuubi, the two women across from him had quite different expressions. Rika's mother had a bright smile and stars in her eyes, while her grandmother had a smug smile, as though she had just won a bet. "So you were sent here especially to keep Rika safe from whatever conflict lies ahead?" Naruto nodded in response to Rika's mother's question. "And you've promised to be by her side in order to atone for your sins and be admitted to heaven?" Another nod. "And that you two are soulmates meant to be together, drawn to one another by supernatural forces?" "Wait, what?" Naruto questioned. "I never said that, Mrs. Makino. My name is Rina, but you can call me Kasen." "Oh come now Naru-kun," she said with a smile. Mrs. Naruto rubbed the spot on his head where he had just been popped. "Maki.o." She emphasized, "Kasen, you promised to look out for Rika, and we can't let her run around with two men. It would be viewed as offensive. You are therefore forced to court my daughter if you wish to fulfill your mission. In order for you to gain favor with the divine, I will not leave my little girl alone in life." Rika's grandmother added, "I told him the exact same thing, Rina, but in fewer words." Naruto said, "You are both handling this very well. If today is any indication, Rika will be in serious danger in the days ahead. Are you concerned?" After exchanging glances, Rina said, "We will put our trust in you, Naruto," in a quiet voice. "No matter what Rika is doing, your salvation depends on it, and we could never ask you to give that up. Furthermore, I suspect that she would continue to do it covertly if we told her to stop." At that, they all laughed together. After the laughter subsided, Rina remarked, "We adore Rika, Naru-kun. Please look out for her." Naruto nodded and rose to leave the room, turning just loud enough to be heard as he said, "I promise, I will protect her, Kasen," as he approached the door. Reina's eyes widened as she watched him vanish in a whirl of leaves, her brain processing his final words. Grandma Makino remarked, "I'm sure the boy will fulfill his promise." "It's so magical," Rina said wistfully, "like some kind of fairy tale, and I hope we have sown the seeds for a happy ending tonight." "I am sure he got the hint, Rina. You were about as subtle as a rhino deer." Rika was sore all over when she woke up, with bandages wrapped up her arms and a bandage on her left cheek. She got ready for school, knowing that it would be a terrible day because of the pictures of her and Naruto that had appeared in fashion magazines the day before, and was on her way to the gate when she heard a familiar voice calling out to her. "Rika-chan," Naruto replied, "I'm going to the park while you are at school. Meet me there, okay?" Rika nodded, and as she turned, Naruto took her hand and pulled up her jacket sleeve to get a clear view of her bandaged arm. "Is it painful?" he inquired. Rika answered, "Only slightly." "I am sorry, Rika, if only I could have been faster." Rika looked him in the eye and put her hands on both of his shoulders, just like he had done the day before. "Listen up, Uzumaki Naruto," she began. I can't stand my Digimon being moody, and you've advanced to champion level, isn't that amazing? How did you accomplish it, and do you think you could do it again? I don't know, he sighed. I saw you lying there, I had to do something because it was going to kill you. Since we are partners, it is my responsibility to look out for you. I wanted nothing more than to save you, so I gave myself the power because I needed it. He then went to the park. Thinking of that brought back memories of last night, when he took charge in the heat of battle, and how he held her in his arms, making her feel safe. Rika blushed. Why did he say that? Did he mean it to sound that way? No, since I am a human and he is a Digimon, it would never work, Rika reprimanded herself. Until he dies in combat, he will remain his youthful, energetic self, and I will eventually outgrow him. Out of nowhere, a female voice said, "No, you aren't." "Where are you?" Rika dialed. "Check your pants pocket." Rika did so and produced a Digimon card. "It was really warm in there, so perhaps you should wear looser pants?" Rika frowned. "I am just kidding, I'm not a card, I am the spirit which the card represents. I thought Digimon had something to do with technology, but this is crazy. But ever since I became a tamer, everything has been so spiritually awful that I can't even believe it. What am I to do with you, then? Swipe the card the next time you and Naruto are by yourself, and I'll handle the rest. Oh, and relax, girl." Rika scoffed and looked at the card in question, which had the caption, "Mother's Love," and an illustration that was more like a photo than an illustration, showing a young woman with long, straight red hair similar to her own, held in place with an orange hair clip, wearing a simple black dress over an orange blouse, and her arms wrapped around a young, blonde boy of about 6 years old, who had 6 whiskers, marks, and striking blue eyes. With a gasp, Rika put the card in her deck holder and focused on finishing the school day as quickly as possible. In the meantime, Naruto was lying in a tree in the park, thinking a lot of the same things that Rika had been thinking. She will eventually outgrow me and no longer require my assistance, leaving my mission unfinished. Is it selfish of me to pursue a relationship with Rika in order to save my own skin? Soul. Will I be denied entry into heaven? And to top it all off, I'm 4 years older than her. Well, not physically, but mentally. That made me think, will I get old? As Shika would say, Naruto found all of this problematic, so he took a cue from his book and leaned back in his branch to fall asleep. The day passed far too slowly, and all Rika could think about was finding Naruto and swiping that card. She was glad to leave school and get away from the constant questions about her haughty boyfriend. She ran purposefully from school to her house, quickly changing into her regular clothes and wearing her tan jacket to conceal the bandages. From there, she headed to the park, where she spent 10 minutes looking for Naruto, who was resting high in a tree with his arms and legs dangling free. "Naruto!" she shouted. After being violently woken up, Naruto fell from his perch and landed directly on top of a Makino Rika. "Get away from me, you moron!" she screamed, attempting to eject him. Rising from his position, Naruto suddenly became motionless, still straddling Rika's arms on either side of her head. Blushing heavily at the intimate position, Rika was about to speak, but her mouth was covered. Naruto took her by the waist and leapt up to his previous branch, putting a finger to his mouth in a quieting gesture before pointing at the path just below them through the foliage. Rika is given quite the surprise as he looks down. A boy about Rika's age was strolling along the path. He was dressed in gray pants that seemed too short for him in length, a blue hoodie with short sleeves, and yellow wristbands. He also had a big pair of goggles on his forehead, the strap of which was concealed by his slightly disheveled brown hair, which made Rika laugh when she looked at them. However, it was the red, scaled, white, bellied dinosaur, like Digimon, that was following him that had captured their attention, not the boy. Naruto questioned, "What do you say, Rika? Want to see what your fellow tamer is made of?" She smirked and said, "You read my mind." Since his house didn't work out and alleyways weren't nice, Takato was looking for a place to hide Guilman. He was deep in thought, trying to think of something to do, when Guilman started growling. He turned to see what was wrong, only to find himself facing the 2 people he had dreamed about. Takato shook a little and said, "I understand why you're here. I won't allow you to destroy Guilman." "What are you talking about, Gogglehead?" Rika scoffed. "We aren't here to destroy your little dinosaur." "Don't lie to me," Takato screamed. "You guys are Digimon hunters, because I saw what that guy did to that Lynxmon." This kid was crazy, Rika sighed. All she wanted was to finish this so she could go home and scan that weird thing. "Why would I have this if I am a hunter of some kind?" She held up her D-Arc and said. Takato pointed to Naruto and remarked, "You probably destroyed your own partner, and now you use that to track down others for this guy. Do you not understand? This is my Digimon Naruto," shouted Rika. "I am a tamer like you. Yo, quit lying, he is just a guy our age. Who is able to leap 2 stories? Rika cut in. Fine, if you want to stick to this story, then prove it. Rika growled and reached for her deck, saying, alright, Digimodify. Naruto's battle cloak activate. A ring of glowing blue data replaced Naruto's clothes with his battle gear as the wind grew stronger. Whoa, exclaimed Takato. I had no idea. He's what kind of Digimon? Like I did Guilman, did you make him yourself? Naruto is special, Rika said, and he is the strongest, no question. Naruto cooed, I'm happy you think so highly of me, Rika-chan. Just shut up, you make it hard to respect you, she barked. Are you sure he is the strongest? Takato questioned. I mean, he doesn't look like much, and I made Guilman pretty strong. He can bond with the little prehistoric ball of data, but eventually they will have to fight, possibly for their lives. At least she would get him to stop treating this like a game, Rika grinned. If you are sure, how about a friendly spar? She inquired. No modify cards, and Naruto will even revert to his training form. Takato's face flushed slightly with rage, and his fists clenched, but he didn't want to fight, and he didn't like how Rika was underestimating him and his partner. Good work, Rika. Naruto though, the kid would not have accepted the fight otherwise. We'll fight you, Takato snarled. Good, she grinned. Teach them a lesson, Naruto. Gladly, Naruto said, laughing as his battle cloak broke off and scattered into glistening data particles. They had already made the decision that they needed to know what this tamer was made of, if Digimon started emerging frequently and were as violent as the last one, things could quickly get out of hand for this city. Rika had made the decision to defend her home and the new relationships she had formed with her mother, and Naruto had made the decision to keep his word. And if these children were running around treating everything like a game to be won, they would only be a hindrance. Having witnessed this guy annihilate a champion-level Digimon, Takato was a little anxious and unsure of his decision after his anger had subsided. His only hope was that his training would be weaker. Were you not going to return to your training form? Hey, he said shyly. This is my training form, Naruto said. What you saw earlier was my rookie form. You ought to have shrunk, become fuzzier, or something. Kami forbid I grow fur, he chuckled. No, I seem to be getting older with every Digivolution. Well, that just gives me a power boost, except from training to rookie. Okay, you are a weird one. Coming from the guy who apparently made his Digimon himself, that's not saying much. Rika scoffed. Can we get on with this? I have business to take care of. Alright, Takato shouted. Go grab Guilman. Guilman let out a high-pitched roar that was more amusing than frightening. Naruto stood with his arms folded and his eyes closed, as if he didn't care. When Guilman slashed down with his claws, Naruto ducked and spun around his back, pushing him, and Guilman fell straight into a tree. Is that all you got? Naruto taunted. How about this? I won't retaliate until you land a hit. Or you could just not fight at all. Takato recognized the voice. Following the sound, the group's gaze landed on the hill behind Takato, where another seemingly tamed figure stood, judging by the small rabbit-like creature running down the hill. The boy was dressed simply in brown pants, a black undershirt, and an orange vest that was zipped. If the circumstances had been different, Naruto would have matched his color scheme. Takato exhaled, it's you. As it ran in their direction, the small, rabbit-like creature, which Rika now recognized as a Terriermon, giggled. It's him and me, and aren't you glad to see each other? Rika, meanwhile, was growing irritated. Well, something keeps coming up, so I suppose this is a good way to accomplish 2 goals at once. 2 rookies against an training team could be difficult, she thought. The small Mon gave Naruto a strange look as it circled him while perched atop his shoulder and grasped the opposite ear with one of its long ears. You're weird. Terriermon, the boy chided, you shouldn't say things like that for no reason. Terriermon chuckled and said, Henry, Mumontai. You take it easy, he replied, but it is strange, why are you fighting Guilman? You could get yourself hurt. Naruto laughed, I'd be more worried about him if I was you. He can't even land a hit on me when I am training. Under training? Henry exclaimed, you don't mean? Rika, irritated at being disregarded, remarked, he is my Digimon. Now, if you would, kindly get your little rabbit of him so we can continue our match. Henry's expression changed from one of disbelief to one of disappointment. His gaze swung to Naruto. What are your Digimon fighting anyway? Rika remarked, there's no need to lecture us, it's just a friendly spar. Although it's not a very good one yet, I wanted to see what kind of tamer goggle head was over there. Hey, Rika reprimanded, quite, the gown-ups are talking. Naruto and Terriermon laughed. Terriermon jumped over to take his place on Henry's shoulder, and Henry remarked, "Digimon don't have to fight, you know," adding that, "They aren't fighting machines, they are our friends." Terriermon asked Naruto, "Didn't the fight really get you worked up while you were watching it?" "Yes, it was really thrilling." Rika looked smug, and Takato looked curious, but Henry gave him a funny look, and he felt like he had made a mistake. Digimon, Naruto started, are prone to battle by nature, but some battles are worthwhile. What would you do, Henry, if a vicious Digimon appeared on your block? Would you cling to your illusions or fight to defend your home? The battle will come to you one day, and if Terriermon isn't ready, I hope you are. That is, ready to lose your partner. Henry was speechless because he had never considered it in that way, but the final line perplexed and infuriated him. Henry shouted, "What do you mean? The fight will come to me, are you going to pursue Terriermon? You don't really know, do you? You think your partners are the only ones who show up?" sneered Naruto. "They're anything but amiable, and it seems like more are arriving every day. They must be coming for a reason, if we could try and talk to them. Then you would get yourself killed." The last one that came through was Berserk. It couldn't even tell the difference between a Digimon and its tamer, it was just out to hurt someone. "Wait, Takato, that would mean it attacked me," Rika said. "It came after me. We thought we had taken it out, it digivolved and attacked." The intended effect was achieved as both tamers watched in disbelief as Rika took off her jacket to reveal the bandages that ran up and down her arms. The damage wasn't that bad, but her mother certainly made it look that way. "If it wasn't for Naruto, I would be dead," Rika said. "It was just lucky that he made champion level in time to save me." Naruto grinned and said, "I couldn't have done it without you, Rika." Rika gave him a rare smile in return. "Your attitude will only result in your death or the death of another person. We and our partners are responsible for preventing the dangerous from harming others. What it means to be a tamer is to fight for your home, and Naruto and my family have taught me that we will do everything in our power to defend this city." Naruto grinned at his partner, who had changed so much in such a short period of time. He wasn't sure how much of that was because of him, but it still made him happy. The boys, on the other hand, appeared to have just had their puppy killed, so he thought it would be best to leave them thinking. "Common Rika-chan," Naruto said, "it's getting late. Your mother would kill me if I got you home late again." "You're right," Rika replied. "Next time we see you guys, be ready for a beating." After that, she and Naruto returned to the Makino residence. The day had been long and frustrating. Rika went to bed after a quick meal because Naruto had mentioned that he would spend some time sitting in the garden. She took a quick shower and changed into her bedclothes, but as soon as her head hit the pillow, she woke up again and remembered the card in her pocket. She hurried out the door to find Naruto sitting on his rock by the pond as usual, and she showed him the card after explaining the strange events of that morning. After staring at it in disbelief for a moment, Naruto smiled and lightly ran his fingers over it before returning the card to her and pleadingly saying, "Swipe it, Rika, please." Rika took a final look at the card before pulling out her D-Arc and bringing it to the scanner, where there was only the faint sound of the card sliding through. Naruto watched in silence, not even moving. Rika dropped it with a yell, and after a few agonizing seconds, a blinding flash erupted from the D-Arc, alerting her mother and grandmother, who hurried out of the house to see what was happening and were met with quite the sight. For a few seconds, which could have been years, nothing happened. When he saw the image of his mother on the card, he was ecstatic, hoping beyond hope that he could see her again, both because he loved her and because he still had some questions answered. In the center of their garden, a mass of swirling data ribbons appeared to be condensing into a solid form, and as they got smaller and closer together, they also became much brighter. The light became blinding, and then it abruptly stopped. When their vision returned, they were given a new sight. Naruto clinging desperately to a young, attractive woman with red hair. She had a natural beauty that made Rina a little envious, and even though she was wearing a black dress and a simple orange blouse, she looked stunning. Kushina murmured, "It's nice to see you too, Naru-chan. Where are my adorable little grandchildren now? It hasn't even been a week since I last saw you," Naruto sighed. Kushina laughed nervously and said, "Ah, I guess it hasn't had it? Well, you at least got with that girl I picked out for you, right?" While Rika and Naruto both flushed, her mother and grandmother simply laughed, handling the situation admirably overall. "Hey," Rika snarled, "I don't care who you are. You can't just pick me out like some car at a lot." Kushina sent a smile similar to Naruto's. "Oh, I just love that fiery personality of yours. Naruto is just like his father, he needs a strong woman to keep him in line, but I don't remember saying it was you I chose, Rika-chan. Is there something you want to tell my son, anything you want to confess?" Rika flushed profusely once more before realizing, "You're his mother?" "Yes, my name is Uzumaki Kushina, and I am his mother." I am Makino Rika. I did choose you after all, Kushina said, breaking off with a light laugh. I know who you are. Rika chose to keep quiet for the time being, blushing and gapping like a fish. With a perplexed expression on her face, Naruto emerged from his mother's embrace and stood before her. Not that I am not happy to see you, Naruto started, but why are you here? I had thought I would only see you again in the next life. Oh yes, Kushina replied, assuming a phony business manner. I am here to administer one Uzumaki Naruto's upgrade per kami. Sama's direct order. Upgrade? Asked everyone in the garden. Yes, Kushina said curtly. You see Naruto, after re-evaluating your mission parameters, it would seem your current form is not well equipped to complete it. A few people looked perplexed at this. Rika, however, was taken aback. Would they make him more like Digimon? Make him an animal of some sort? She was torn between the two ideas. On the one hand, if he were to become more like a Digimon, would that help her deal with the weird emotions she had been experiencing lately? She does, however, like the current Naruto, and she can tell by his smile in the park with those boys that he likes being different. Could she really expect him to give up his humanity so she could feel better? No, she replied. She couldn't allow that to occur. I won't let you change him, Rika stated matter of factly, he is mine, and I like him the way he is. You won't be adding any fur or tails whether you be his mother or Kami herself. While Naruto was simply wondering why she cared so much, the other women gasped at what Kushina had to say. I had no intention of doing that, Rika, she said with a smirk, but I am happy to hear you think so highly of my son's looks. Tell me, what do you like most about him? I bet it's the eyes. He has his father's eyes, and oh how they made me melt as a girl your age. Just one look and I was weak in the knees, and if he is anything like his father he will be a monster in the saw. Kasen. Too much information. Look what you did to poor Rika, Chan. Rika was so flushed that she became lightheaded and collapsed. Fanning her face frantically was Naruto's occupation. You're right, I can be such a talker, she sighed. She then lowered herself to her son's level and said, this won't hurt a bit. Her entire body started to glow after kissing her son's head, but it soon started to shrink. Naruto, who was once 14 years old, was now 6 years old and dressed in black shorts with an orange stripe and a white shirt with a red spiraling leaf symbol on it. 2 seconds of silence were broken by loud squeals as Kushina and Rina both grabbed hold of him and gave him a teddy bear-like squeeze. Kushina exclaimed, "You're so cute, my little boy is so adorable." "I agree, those whisker marks are just too cute," Rina cried. "I propose we write up marriage contract immediately, we need more adorable whiskered children in this house." Rika didn't understand what they were saying. They were aware that he was a Digimon, right? She had given up on the notion that he was merely data. She was aware that he was more than that, but that didn't alter the fact that he was data with a soul. He couldn't have a relationship with a human, let alone children, and especially not with me. I'm his tamer, it would be wrong. But these thoughts did nothing to stop her blushing. The two women continued to argue vehemently about what color hair would complement Naruto's whisker marks while Naruto was still being handled like a stuffed animal. While Kushina was having none of it and insisted that a darker red, like hers, was ideal, Rina appeared to be certain that a lighter red, like Rika's, fit best. "Ah," Naruto wheezed, "can't breathe, Kasen." "Oh," both ladies said simultaneously, "I'm sorry, Naru-chan." Naruto said, creepy, after he had a chance to catch his breath. Rika had slipped away during the conversation, so Naruto made the decision to find out where she went. "Be right back," he said, "I have to use the restroom." After they left, the three women gathered in a small circle, exchanged glances, and then stacked their left hands on top of one another. Rina asked, "So we are all in agreement?" Grandma Makino answered, "Of course we are. It was my plan from the start." Kushina chuckled, "I have enough energy to last me 3 days, so we have to work fast. Operation Get the Kids Together is a go." Grandma Makino listened, nodding occasionally as Kushina and Rina started whispering passionately as the three women raised their hands in the air, shouting, "Let's do it." Rika was sitting at his rock when Naruto walked around the house to the garden. He approached her covertly with the intention of frightening her a little, but he was stopped when he heard her talk. "They act like he's human," she said to no one. "He is a Digimon. No point in pairing us off, it'd never work." Though she didn't intend to, Rika had just summoned some long-forgotten demons, and Naruto stood there in silence as they rushed back. "Look at it, walking around like it belongs. Should have died. Better off without. Why should it matter, he isn't human." He returned to his mother and the other women in silence. He walked back around the house, schooling his features, and saw the women laughing in a circle. They turned to face him with an odd sparkle in their eyes as he asked, "What are you doing?" "Nothing, Naru-chan," giggled Kushina, "just some girl talk." "Why does it feel like life is going to get a lot more complicated?" asked Naruto, feeling a chill run down his spine. He chose to ask a question that had been bothering him despite the feeling. "Kasen, how long can you stay here?" "About 3 days. After that I will run out of energy," she said sadly. "I would like it to be longer, but I am not sure Kami would allow it." With a solemn nod, Naruto acknowledged that he should have known better than to hope for a chance to live with his mother. He looked down and shifted uneasily. Naruto muttered, "Kasen, may I sleep with you tonight?" Every time her baby had to sleep alone in his run-down apartment, Kushina's heart broke, wondering why he had no one to hold him. She had watched her son throughout his life, and she broke under the look he was giving off, or when he sat alone on the swing and wished someone would give him a high like the parents of the other children did. He was her 5-year-old son at that precise moment, and he needed his mother regardless of his age in mind. As she always wished she could, she gathered him in her arms and glanced at the other two women, who realized they needed some privacy and that their evil schemes could wait. She cooed, "Come on, Naru-chan, let's get you to bed." He loved feeling so small as he was held in his mother's arms. In his mother's arms, a lifetime of loneliness and paranoia vanished, and he felt completely at ease. He had never felt more secure. He yawned and tucked himself deeper into his mother's chest, relishing her warmth and affection, which he had not experienced as a child. Kushina grinned when he saw this action. "You're going to need to rest to regain your energy. After a while you will go back to your training level." Kushina gave him a determined look. Of course, all it will take to recharge your batteries would be the Uzumaki family's secret ramen. The fact that Naruto had not had a good bowl in years, not since he had sent the villagers to Spring Country for their own safety, of course, made him wide-eyed. He refused to accept the Tuchi and Ayame's offer to stay and provide food for the fighting ninja. Kushina dreamed about teaching her, hopefully soon .be.in.law, how to make it, while Naruto dreamed about ramen. Her mother taught her, her grandmother taught her, and so on. An Uzumaki woman had to be as passionate about cooking as she was about everything else in her life. She would enjoy the ramen that the girl was going to make, if she had anything to say about it. Sometimes Kushina's mind wandered, so she mentally slapped herself for the outburst. Since she had just arrived and Naruto had not picked up any nightwear, neither of them had any. They simply lay on the bed, still tightly hugged, and in a matter of minutes, they were both fast asleep and perfectly imitating the picture on the card. The following morning, Rika awoke to an excruciatingly loud commotion. Her eyes burned from the sudden intrusion of her bedroom light, and she opened them for a second before closing them again. Then a recognizable voice called out as the racket resumed its loudness. "It's time to begin your training," Kushina yelled, pounding a big pan ladle. "Rise and shine, Rika-chan. It's still dark out and I have school." Rika glared at the woman in front of her as she looked out the window. "No you don't," they called, saying something about a teacher health day. Some principal went a little loopy and started seeing talking dinosaurs, so they're giving them an impromptu vacation. Rika countered, "I can't cook, I just get in the way." "That's the point," Kushina sighed, "like my mother always said, an Uzumaki woman is passionate in all aspects of her life, especially her duties in the kitchen. Isn't that a little sexist? Not when you consider the fact that an Uzumaki man can cook to save his life." Kushina chuckled. "Now get cleaned up and meet me in the kitchen." As Rika was getting ready, she recalled something amusing that Kushina had said before leaving. What did she mean, Uzumaki woman? After blushing, Rika rushed through her morning routine and went to the kitchen, where she discovered Kushina chopping a variety of vegetables. She pointed to the knife and cutting board next to hers when she saw Rika enter, and Rika took it and started chopping whatever Kushina handed her. Rika chose to inquire as to what she had meant earlier after a few minutes of silent chopping. Kushi.o. Rika yelled and rubbed the spot on her forehead where Kushina's blade had fallen flat. "Now continue chopping," she said sweetly. "You will call me Kasen Rika-chan." There was silence once more. It had gotten awkward. What were she and Naruto's mother thinking about? They didn't have any right to be forced together. "Listen," Rika began, "Naruto and I aren't. You care for him, don't you?" "Of course I do," Rika stated. "He's my Digimon, we have to trust each other, right?" "That's not what I mean. I mean, do you care about him as a person?" Rika calmly said, "He's my partner, and she cares for him just as much as a human does for a Digimon. So being human is that big of a factor, don't ever say that to him." "What do you mean?" she said, "and what would it matter? He had a hard life," she stated. "I thought it would be different for him here, but even his partner sees him as inhuman." "Hey," Rika yelled, "of course it sounds bad when you say it that way." As she raged, Kushina simply ignored her and they resumed their work, with Kushina taking spices out of the cupboard. "Pay close attention, Rika. Chan," she said, "you will need to teach this to his wife in my place, it's family tradition." Rika was growing frustrated because Kushina had been harping on about bringing her and her son together ever since she arrived. She is now being removed from her role as Naruto's prospective wife so quickly after they actually speak for the first time. The idea behind the situation was that she didn't want the job in the first place. She returned to her chopping, determined not to let her thoughts deceive her anymore. Before long, 2 tall pots filled with boiling vegetables were on the stove. Rika was instructed by Kushina to use whatever quantity of herbs and spices felt appropriate. When she said, "It will help if you think of someone who means a lot to you and make it for them," Rika flushed. They started with the noodles after adding the meat. A huge bowl of Uzumaki family's secret ramen was set on the table next to Kushina's 2 hours later by a very exhausted Rika. Naruto watched in horror as his mother and Rika put a lot of effort into making this meal. He would undoubtedly eat it all, but what if they questioned who was the best? A boy had entered this place enticed by the aroma of ramen, only to discover that it was a death trap. What was he to do? There wasn't much he could do because he was still 6 years old. "They are both for me," they nodded. "Is this some kind of contest?" "Well, it wasn't." Kushina laughed, "but that's a good idea. After you're done, tell us whose is best." With a curse, Naruto said, "Me and my big mouth." The women in the house, with the exception of Rika, who was extremely anxious, were giggling inside. Grandma Makino and Rina each had a small bowl of each, and they appeared to like them both. As he reached for his mother's ramen, Naruto started to perspire. He ate thoughtfully, and the food was good, some of the best he had ever had. It's no surprise that he loved ramen so much, it was in his blood, and his mother clearly put a lot of effort into it. Naruto went for Rika's bowl after deciding to wait to make a decision. Rika was incredibly anxious. What if she made a mistake? Did it make a difference that it was a family recipe even though she wasn't? After taking a tiny sample of Rika's ramen, Naruto's eyes widened and started to well up with tears. Was it so awful that Rika broke down in tears? Kushina simply grinned and said, "That girl did it, I knew I picked right." Rika. "Chan, this ramen, it's the best ramen I have ever had." Naruto shook and started to cry. After saying that, Naruto got right back into it and didn't stop until he was finished. "The flavor is just incredible," he said. "I'm sorry Kasen, Rika. Chan wins hands down." Rika blushed from the attention and the praise, and Kushina merely smirked at her, not even looking surprised. She turned away with a small frown. Rika remarked, "It was nothing really." "Nonsense Rika," Kushina whispered. "You must have a strong bond with my son, to incite such a reaction. I knew you would win all along." "Why?" she inquired, taken aback by Kushina's sudden happiness with her. "Because," Kushina sighed, "I love Naruto's father, and I always make it how I would for him. You made your ramen just for Naruto, I never stood a chance." After 40 minutes and 15 bowls, Naruto was feeling well and had returned to his training form. He felt uneasy because Rika was oddly silent during the meal. Was something wrong? Naruto inquired, "Are you okay, Rika? Chan?" "I'm fine," she said. "I am going to go to my room though, I have some thinking to do." After she departed, Naruto shrugged and went out the door with the intention of relaxing by the pond. "Damn it," Rika gritted her teeth and whispered. "Stupid Kushina and her stupid ramen," she said. "Of course I was thinking of him, it was all we talked about." When she reflected on her time with Naruto, she realized that he had, apparently, significantly improved her. From death itself, he entered her life as her companion and guardian. He assisted her in realizing she was offending a mother who merely wanted to see her daughter happy. That true strength can be attained and that even Digimon have hearts. "I need to cool down, this thinking will get me nowhere," she screamed in frustration as she pulled her pillow to her face. Rika held a peach flavored snow cone and occasionally licked it as she guided Naruto through the city. After walking to a small children's park, where Rika sat on a bench and Naruto did the same, Naruto appeared to be enjoying his watermelon. For a brief moment, the only sounds were those of the city and the background laughter of the kids as they savored their treats. "Naruto," began Rika, "I've been a little confused lately." Extending his senses, Naruto asked, "Why is that?" He was certain they were being followed but didn't want to warn Rika. "Well, I know I was rather cold when we first met," she sighed, "but since then I have changed a lot I think. Mostly thanks to you. I've never had a real friend before you, but I don't know what the future holds for us as partners. I mean, it's like Kasen said, we won't be able to live together, it would look strange. I could never be with anyone romantically." Now that he knew Rika was his friend, Naruto felt less confident because he had acknowledged to himself that he might feel something for her. But that doesn't matter right now, we have our entire lives ahead of us, Naruto said, his mood improving. After nodding with a cheerful grin that lifted Rika's gloomy spirits, Naruto heard a soft click and snatched her snow cone out of her hand before embracing her tightly. Rika was taken aback and strained a little as Naruto's ear began to click more rapidly, almost frantically. Rika-chan, calm down, he whispered, we have company. It's that cameraman again. When I get up I want you to hop on my back, grab tightly, use your legs and hang on tight. The idea of such private photos being sold for that man's profit made Rika blush a little, but she nodded with a frown. When Naruto stood up, she gave it her all and hung on. In the meantime, Naruto expertly threw both snow cones, striking the man in the face and scorching his digital camera. Once that was finished, he leapt high across the street into an adjacent alleyway and then landed on top of the playground. He emerged close to a parking garage and plunged in. Naruto remarked, I think we lost him, as they stood in the garage behind a concrete pillar. I'm glad it was you, Rika said, releasing her hold on him and turning away. Not hearing her, Naruto questioned, what? I said, Rika started, I am glad you were chosen to be my partner, I couldn't have asked for a better one. Her words, Rika, startled Naruto. Guilman, stop right now. Damn it, why now of all times? What are you doing here, gogglehead? Rika growled, finally ready to stop playing games. I was just going for a walk, Takato said, but yeah, I want to see what we can do, right Guilman? This would be a nice way to release some tension, Rika grinned. Okay, same rules as last time, Rika said, let's see what that lizard of yours has got. Get him, Guilman, Takato shouted, with a pyrosphere right now. Naruto jumped and stood on the ceiling to watch the damage as Guilman charged forward and fired a ball of red-hot flame from his mouth. That attack packs a punch, I best not get hit by it. Dropping to the ground, Naruto crossed his arms and looked at Guilman, asking, is that all you got? Rika observed the battle critically as Guilman charged forward with a barrage of slashes that Naruto avoided or deflected. Guilman had strength but no control, he would never hit if he didn't use his brain. While Takato watched in amazement at Naruto's speed, he was a blur of movement, he did observe that they were approaching the wall. Naruto continued to dodge and reroute, but he was being pushed back because he was on the defensive. He was pushed back and caught in a two-arm struggle. Takato took a chance when he was almost at the wall. Guilman, roll forward. Guilman rolled over, bringing his tail up to strike Naruto squarely in the chest. He grunted loudly as he struck the wall. Nice move, kid, Naruto chuckled, but let's see how you handle my retaliation now. With his fist cocked, Naruto hurried Guilman to punch the Digimon in the face. However, a shout of Bunny Blast stopped him. He felt like he was being hit by a series of tiny wind bullets as he was hurled into the pillar to his left. Henry called Takato. Hey Takato, he said, you look like you could use some help. You're right, Takato said, Naruto is strong, but we'll show them they're wrong about us. Terriermon yelled, that's right, let's show them our resolve. Yay! Exclaimed Guilman. They shouted, we are tamers, together. Now that's more like it, Naruto remarked, wiping the dust off his clothing. Let's go get wild. After that, Naruto rushed forward and kicked Guilman in the head, sending him flying backward. He then shifted into a backflip as another Bunny Blast struck the spot where he had been. He grabbed the tail and spun with it, slamming into the closest pillar as Guilman spun toward him with a tail whip. For his trouble, he was given a Terrier Tornado to the chest. After being hurled into a pillar, Naruto struck it, causing a tiny spider web of cracks to form. You guys are pretty good, Rika laughed, with more training, you just might be a challenge. Takato questioned, what do you mean? I think we're doing pretty well. You forget, Rika remarked, placing a card against her scanner, he is still only in training. Oh no, said Henry in a whisper. Oh yeah, grinned Rika, activate Naruto's battle cloak through digimodification. As Naruto transformed into his rookie form, there was a power explosion. He advanced with his cloak flapping in an invisible wind. Naruto, said Rika, teach them what strength means. Gladly, he said, grinning slyly. In an instant, he vanished, then reappeared to seize Terriermon by the ears and throw him into a nearby vehicle. Things went wrong when he avoided a pyrosphere that Guilman threw at him. Terriermon was just getting out of the car when the attack struck. There was a roar of, no Terriermon, and a burst of flames. His D-Arc started to glow as Henry hurried to his Digimon's aid. Digivolution, a big green egg of data formed inside the fire, and there was a flash. Terriermon digivolved to Gargomon. Stoop now resembled a bigger commando version of the little bunny, complete with blue jeans, face paint, big clawed feet, and a gun belt around his shoulder. He had a diamond on his head beneath the horn and 2 red lines on his cheeks, and his face was lightly painted. The 2 Gatling guns that replaced his hands, however, were what made him most distinctive. He yelled, "Gargo laser," and started shooting at everything in the garage, so there was no time to admire his new form. Rika pushed back against the column she was resting on. She trembled, remembering the attack by the Fugamons. When Naruto attempted to control the unruly Digimon, he was struck in the chest by a bunny pummel, and launched into the opposite side of the pillar, behind which Rika was standing. She knelt beside Naruto, feeling the impact and observing the edge of his cloak rush out from behind her cover. She checked him for external wounds but found none, but when he coughed up a glob of blood, she gasped. Rika bravely stood as heroes, his arm pressed straight to her chest as Gargomon stalked up behind them. Naruto suddenly appeared, putting his arms around Rika and turning to take the blast point blank in the back just as Gargomon was ready to fire. Rika called frantically as he collapsed to his knees. Guilman tackled Gargomon into the wall, rendering him incapacitated. "Naruto, why'd you do that, you idiot?" Despite his pain, he smiled at her as his head landed in her lap and blood gathered beneath him. Particles of data also drifted into the air, indicating his actual death. "I'm your partner Rika, it's my job," he gasped in pain, "but more than that, you're one of my precious people, I couldn't stand by and watch you get hurt." "Idiot," Rika yelled, "you're hurting me now, you can't leave me, you're my best friend." Rika started to cry. The other 2 tamers arrived at this scene. They remained silent out of deference, but the poignant scene made them fight back tears. "It's okay, Rika," Naruto purred. "Naruto," she gasped, "if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be who I am now. I can't lose you, not now. Naruto, you'll be okay. You're a Digimon, you'll be reborn, right? You'll come back to me, right?" "It doesn't work that way for me," Naruto said with a wince. "I have already been given a second chance. This is the end of the line for me." "No," Rika said resolutely, "I can't let you go. I must be able to do something." She sobbed in complete helplessness as her partner passed away, holding him to her chest. "At least I was able to save you in the end, Rika." Naruto. Digivolution. Rika and Naruto's form were encircled by a whirlpool of wind, and his body started to glow. The light intensified along with the wind, but Rika never let go of him, and with a single flash, the wind burst forth. Where a young child, Digimon, was once on the verge of death, now, a young man in perfect health who resembled an older Naruto stood there, holding Rika close to him so that only her head was visible through his long sleeves. "Thank you, Rika. Chan," Naruto said in a whisper, "I knew you cared." She wiped her tears on his cloak and said, "Idiot, don't ever go and do something stupid like that again." "I promise," Naruto said, "I won't leave you, I'll watch over you always. Even if you find someone to be with someday." Rika closed her eyes contentedly and nodded as she stood there, soaking up the warm feelings that seemed to emanate from Naruto. She gave the goggle-headed criminal a glare, but he blanched as she was interrupted by a slight cough. Rika mentally slapped herself around while acting that way, dislodging herself from Naruto's cloak and missing the warmth instantly. Not that she would admit it. "You've seen him take down 10-foot-tall ogres, of course he makes you feel safe, it doesn't mean a thing." "Then why won't my heart stop beating so fast?" was the question that lingered in the back of her mind as she considered that. Trying to concentrate her confused thoughts, she said to her fellow tamers, "Hey, you two, want to come over for lunch?" "Yeah," Naruto added, "I think there is still some of Rika Chan's amazing ramen left that we could have for lunch." The boys gave each other a quick nod, and Rika blushed a little at the compliment before trailing behind the 2 with their Digimon. People openly gawked at Naruto's appearance as the Tamers and Digimon group arrived at the Makino residence. Who could blame them? He appeared to be a cosplayer who had lost his sense of style. Particularly when a fire-breathing dinosaur and a bunny with a gun follow. His appearance was drawing some frantic glances from the city's women in addition to the odd looks. At one point, 2 girls who appeared to be about Naruto's age, 16, clung to him as a third girl took pictures. Rika shoved hard at Naruto's back, pushing the camera girl away and releasing him from their hold. They gave a furious huff before laughing uncontrollably at the photos they had received. Aside from that incident, the trip went smoothly. Their guests watched in awe as they entered the Makino estate through the front gates. "You live here?" asked Takato. "No, Gogglehead, I just brought you to a stranger's house for no good reason," she said with a scoff. "Of course I live here, idiot." "Geez, sorry I asked." A voice from the door said, Rika. Chan, are you two back? Did you have a good time? Rika turned to face Uzumaki Kushina, who was grinning at the door. I don't see how that's any of your business, she said with a scowl. We brought home some strays. Is there any ramen left from this morning? Something happened, and Kushina could wait to find out. Yes, it's been kept warm on the stove. Remember what I said, if you let get cold, it's no good anymore, Kushina said, catching their blushes. Rika nodded before escorting her guests inside and telling the Gargomon to circle back by the garden so he could be served. Despite complaining about being treated equally, Gargomon complied with Guilman. The two tamers made the decision to introduce themselves before entering. Takato began, Hello, my name is Matsuda Takato. Henry bowed and said, and I'm Henry. I'm glad to meet you, Mrs. Makino. Kushina laughed, Nice to meet you two boys, but I think you made a mistake, I am not Rika's mother. Yet, she added in her mind. Henry said, bewildered, I apologize. May we ask who you are? So polite, my son could learn from you, Kushina said. Then again Naruto wouldn't be himself if he was so proper. Naruto? William stumbled. Takato asked, but isn't he Rika's Digimon? I didn't know Digimon had mothers. The idea made him shudder. Does that make me a mommy? Naruto wasn't a Digimon to begin with, Kushina smiled, but it's not my place to say. If he trusts you, he'll let you know. Henry nodded, and although Takato appeared somewhat dejected, he was now quite interested and would make it a point to ask Naruto as soon as he knew him better. When they arrived in the kitchen, Naruto was slurping noodles at the table with a look of pure happiness on his face. What could be so wonderful about something that was just ramen? Rika sat down beside Naruto at the table, where two bowls were already set. Surprised, the other two boys started eating. Who knew the stern girl in front of them could cook? Takato declared, it's really good, but a little spicy. Naruto appeared shocked, but Rika nodded. Are you kidding, Takato? He asked incredulously. The balance of spices is perfect. The meat is tender, and the noodles are nice and thick. It's the best I have ever had, and I have had many. Everyone turned when they heard laughter coming from the doorway and saw Rika's mother come in, giggling softly as she stepped forward to stand directly behind Rika and Naruto. She wore a white blouse with wavy patterns of the same color up the middle and down the bottom, and a sleek long faded purple skirt. Her hair was in a ponytail, with a few wavy strands framing her face, and she wore a small coat of a similar design over it, with a thicker faux fur collar and a small faded flower pinned above her left breast. Naruto exclaimed, looking good. As Rina struck him in the head. In an overly affectionate tone, she said, what did I say about that, Naru-chan? Say it right. As he was let go, Naruto laughed painfully and said, I meant looking good, Kasen. That's better, she said. Now I am off to a shoot, be home later. Leaning in, she quickly wrapped her arms around Rika's neck. She left the house with a noticeable bounce in her step as her daughter grinned and held onto her forearm. With wide eyes, Takato glanced from the door to Rika and back again. Takato inquired, your mother is the Makino Rina, the well-known model. Rika shrugged, I guess she is pretty well known, never really gave it much thought except for when the photographers follow me around. My mom uses the beauty creams she models for, Takato said, though they're a bit expensive. With a contemplative look on her face, Rika left the table and came back a few minutes later carrying a medium-sized cardboard box. She extracted a tiny lavender tube from inside. She questioned, is this it? Yes, that's exactly it. Let her have those, Rika said, shoving the box into Takato's arms without any fanfare. Kasen keeps getting them for me, I never use them. While whispering, Naruto said, could have fooled me. Takato grinned and said, thanks, Rika, she'll love this. We should take Terriermon and Guilman their bowls, Henry said, maybe you could give us some pointers, in battle strategy and such. Naruto replied, sure, and took two big bowls out of the cabinet. I'll get the bowls and meet you outside. Given the size of the bowls, Takato questioned, are you sure you don't need any help? I can get it, you guys just go. Rika was the only one who didn't leave until she muttered, we need to talk about what happened later. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, said Naruto as he nodded and proceeded to the ramen. After Naruto and his clone finished preparing it, the clone gave Naruto his bowl and went to the door before reclaiming it. Two Narutos were not among the many things the tamers anticipated seeing. While Rika was blushing and experiencing flashbacks to a conversation she had had with her mother a few nights prior, Takato dropped his box and Henry simply looked stunned. Naruto, said Rika, how did you do that? This is a clone technique that I can use in rookie form as well, Naruto remarked as he put the bowls down for Gargomon and Guilman. Then why haven't you? She said in a frustrated tone. With a radiant smile, he stated, because I have never had the need. Kushina painted a picture of her older son while she watched from her spot next to the pond. He looks just like you, Minato, she sighed, if you could see him now. As the tamers and their partners discussed, joked, plotted, and traded a few modified cards, the afternoon turned to night. Around the same time that Naruto returned to his rookie stage, Gargomon transformed back into Terriermon. As it grew late, they bid each other farewell and agreed to get together again soon and keep an eye out for any emergencies. Rika then gestured for Naruto to follow her, and he took his usual seat leaning against the rock while she sat down beside the pond. 3 pairs of eyes watched from behind a bush a distance away as they sat in silence. The sudden noise caused Naruto to jump a little. Naruto, Rika said, you said you didn't start off as a Digimon, right? Naruto laughed uneasily. He knew he would eventually have to talk about it, even though he didn't like the direction this was taking. No, he replied, I told you I was a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. Yeah, I know, but what was your life like growing up? Your mom said some things that confused me. You don't have to. No, he said, it's okay. The truth is this is only the second time I have ever seen my mother, aside from in photos. She died the day I was born, as did my father. He placed a burden on my shoulders that haunted me my whole life. What did he do? Rika asked. What kind of burden could be placed on a newborn? My mother died, due to stress during delivery. The village was under attack by a demon, the Kyuubi. Demons don't exist. Naruto scoffed, neither did Digimon up until you met me. Anyway, the demon couldn't be stopped by any normal means, it could only be sealed. No object could hold in its raw power in, it had to be a human, and it had to be a newborn child, so that the body could adapt to the beast power. You don't mean, shuddered Rika. My father had a choice, he was the leader of the village, I understand the choice he made, I respect him for it. It was his dying wish that I be seen as a hero for containing the Kyuubi, but he put too much faith in the village. They were all overcome by grief at the loved ones they lost to the demon. The same day I was born, my home village called for my death. I lived, but for the first 12 years of my life, I was hated, told I was useless, that I should have died. The adults told their children to stay away from me. I was alone. I had no idea why. I didn't learn of my burden until I became a shinobi. Rika yelled angrily. How could they? You had no choice in the matter. It's okay, Rika, they had their reasons and understand them now. It took seeing war for me to understand the depths of their grief, watching their comrades fall around them, unable to do anything to save them. Rika remained silent in shock. How could he have forgiven them so easily? They destroyed his early years. After living alone all his life, he was thrown into a war and supposed to die for these people? It didn't seem fair at all. It's funny, not many people ever recognized me as a person. I was always either the demon, or the vessel, never Naruto. Here though I am treated like somebody, at the cost of my humanity. Rika placed a hand on his shoulder, unsure of what to say because she didn't think he was human, and his voice sounded broken. He was a Digimon, but she had to do something because humans can't change form and walk on walls. Naruto, she started, after school tomorrow, let's go do something, just you and me. You haven't seen much of this world, so it's my duty as your tamer to show you. It instantly lifted Naruto's spirits to think, I like that this place can get a little confusing after a while. Well, Rika said as she stood up, you had better not mess up our day because you'll be planning it. But you just said I didn't know this place. How am I supposed to plan a day out? Naruto said, looking a little pale. Think of it as a training exercise, just find something you think would be fun. As Rika entered her room, Naruto nodded. She peered out the door and said, oh, and Naruto, adding, you'll be sorry if we wind up going from ramen stand to ramen stand tomorrow. Naruto gave a sheepish nod, since that was his initial plan. After Rika left, he started working on Operation Perfect Day. Naruto sat by the pond, trying to think of something to do today. He didn't really know the area that well, so it was understandable that nothing had changed when Rika would return home in an hour. As Rina left the house, she noticed Naruto pounding his head against the nearby rock in frustration. Naruto, what are you doing? She scolded, you'll really hurt yourself. I can't think of anything to do today, he cried. Rika is going to be disappointed. Holding tiny slips in her hand, Rina leaned next to the gloomy boy and smiled brightly at him. Not if you take her to the amusement park. Yes. Naruto cried, an amusement park? Why didn't I think of that? Ah, Mrs. Na. Kasen, what is an amusement park? Rina laughed, it's a big place with lots of rides, and games, and food. Rika loves them, though she acts otherwise. Just trust me on this. Naruto nodded quickly and received directions to the park. Rina then gave him some spending money. which he declined until she pointed out that he had no money of his own because he was unemployed. Reluctantly, he accepted the money and promised to reimburse her as soon as he could. To get ready for the day, Naruto went to his room and changed into the clothes Rika had chosen for him, except that he had switched out his jacket for a rust orange one. At this moment, Rina entered with a second present. She replaced the broken heart charm he had forgotten he was wearing on his collar with a whole heart charm. She grinned as she walked away, saying, "The other one didn't suit you." Naruto decided to wait until Rika was ready before taking his usual spot by the pond to take a quick nap after leaving his room just as he saw her enter hers. Like Naruto's charm, Rika appeared in her typical clothes, with the exception of her shirt, which was now adorned with a full heart. "Wake up, Naruto," she yelled. "If your plan was for us to sleep the day away, I am sorry to say that dog just won't hunt." Naruto asked drowsily, "What now? We're hunting." "Idiot," sighed Rika. "What are we doing today?" "Tokyo Dome City," answered Naruto. Rika gave Naruto a rare smile after appearing somewhat shocked, expressing his gratitude for listening to Rina. Then Rika thought, "How are we going to get there? The train ride is more than an hour long." Naruto was the next to smile, glancing at her D-arc and then back at her. Realizing his line of reasoning, she responded, "No, no way. Way, Rika. Chan." After a grudging scan, Naruto was seen flying through the city in record time with a blushing Rika on his back. She was a little afraid at first, but she grew accustomed to it and began to squeal whenever Naruto allowed them to fall for longer than was necessary or when they barely avoided an obstacle. They arrived at their destination after 40 minutes of non-stop running, and Rika felt that the excitement she had experienced was greater than anything the park had to offer. She found herself wishing she could practically fly across the skyline by leaping through the air. She brushed this idea aside, reasoning that although she might never get to experience it, she will be the only one to do so indirectly. They spent the day discussing Rika's school day because there was a long line to enter the park. Rika told him how the girls in her class would not stop bugging her for the rest of the day after she unintentionally forgot she had plans for tonight. After she told them to go shove it, they finally asked her how it went tomorrow, giggling excitedly, after repeatedly asking if she was going out with that cute guy who fell from the tree. She deadpanned, "It's fun making new friends." Before they knew it, they were walking into the park with their tickets torn. The Sky Flower was a huge tower that dropped people in baskets attached to parachutes, and Rika insisted that they ride it first. They waited in line for a while before being lifted up and placed in their basket. They stared at the skyline as they arrived at the summit, and Naruto insisted that he could see her house from there. He even waved, "Hi," to his mother. Even though Rika laughed at his immaturity, she couldn't help but smile because it was so infectious. She was so absorbed in her own thoughts that she yelled and clung to Naruto's arm, her eyes clenched shut, when the basket suddenly lurched and fell. She opened her eyes and quickly drew herself away from his arm, blushing visibly as the parachute caught air and they started their slow descent. "Damn it, why do I do things like that? People are going to think we are a couple or something." Rika then tried to conceal the flush that appeared on her face each time he took her hand so she would hurry up as Naruto led her from ride to ride. Data, he is just Data with a soul attached, a wonderfully kind and caring soul, but that doesn't change the fact that it just wouldn't work out. He isn't real. One day he will complete his mission and be gone. To avoid spoiling the evening, Rika made the decision to set these thoughts aside. The Big O Ferris wheel was the last ride they chose, and although its lack of a center made it a little unsettling, Rika insisted that it was completely safe. Rika and Naruto looked out over the horizon at the lowering sun as they got to the top of the wheel and the cars stopped. "I gotta hand it to you," Rika said, "it was a great day." "Yeah, I didn't want to disappoint you," Naruto said, nodding and scooting a bit closer. Rika smiled as she looked out over the park and said, "You didn't." As Naruto observed her, she was beautifully illuminated by the light from the surroundings. Didn't his mother say that was part of his reward? He knew he wasn't human in this world, but he couldn't help but want what he was denied in life. Should he take a chance? Was there more to this than he realized? He was never one to back down. He always expressed his opinions, but did it make sense to take the chance? "Rika," Naruto began, "I never did in my previous life." "Never what?" inquired Rika. "With the war, we didn't have time for love, it would get us killed. I never had anyone, but here." Rika questioned anxiously, "What are you saying? Please don't do this. I don't want to hurt you, but I can't be with you. You aren't real, Naruto." Naruto began putting his hand on hers and said, "Rika, I." The car shook as something hit the ride at that precise moment. A pink, tinted fog was climbing up the ferry's wheel as they hurried to the window. "A digital field," Rika yelled. "Naruto, whatever is down there, we have to protect the people on the ride." Naruto nodded as he got out of the car and attached himself to the inner edge of the ring with chakra. As he ran down it, he noticed several figures flying around in the fog. He flipped behind the inner ring, allowing the unidentified creature to fly directly into it after one flew directly at him. Naruto saw the creature for the first time when it struck the metal of the inner ring. It was an overgrown honeybee with 2 large legs, 4 clawed arms, and a long red stinger. The creature, which was 4 feet tall and 5 feet across, had 4 ragged purple wings with a single golden eye pattern on each. When Rika's D arc came to life, Naruto's eyes glowed blue. "Naruto," she called, "it's a flyman, it's a champion level, watch out for its stinger, and its poison powder attack. Digimodify. Naruto's battle cloak activate." Naruto sent out shadow clones to keep the dozens of flymen from swarming up on all the cars, but they had already poured poison powder into them. After one of his clones vanished, he discovered that the powder only rendered the victims unconscious. Since his clones were succeeding, the innocent onlookers decided to use kunai to stab the beasts instead of throwing shuriken. No matter how many they removed, they always seemed to be replaced by 2 more. 2 kunai were flipped out and held out to Naruto's sides. He called, "Rika, I need a boost." Rika pulled out a card and said, "Got it. Digimodify, hyperspeed activate." An electric charge swept through Naruto, and then he was gone. Flymen started to disintegrate into data, torn to pieces by an invisible force. It appeared hopeless as more and more of them emerged from the fog, swarming like locusts, and one of them broke through as Naruto stood on the inner ring, panting. When it saw this, it made a direct course for Rika's car. Naruto used his remaining strength to flash above it and use his kunai to cut it in half. He started to fall and became paralyzed after 3 of the beasts stung him in the back. Time seemed to stop for Rika as she recalled a gift Naruto's mother had given her prior to her departure. Fix first flashback. As Rika was getting out of her school clothes in her bedroom and ready to put on her shirt, she heard someone say, "Not that one." She closed the door after turning to see Kushina standing in her doorway and saying, "Your mother wanted me to give you this." She gave her a folded piece of cloth, which she unfolded and held out to inspect. It was identical to her other shirt, except that this one had a whole heart. She put it on even though she initially thought it was ridiculous because it felt right. Kushina interrupted her once more as she was about to leave, saying, "Wait, I have a gift too." Rika accepted a set of 5 cards that Kushina had held out and examined each one individually. They were different from any other cards she had ever seen. Were they a brand new set? She inquired, "Where did you get these?" "Well," Kushina started, "when I first came here I had wondered why I couldn't use chakra anymore. I used to be a kunoichi of Whirlpool. I found these in my pocket. I think they might be the reason." Rika replied, "When Naruto first came, his clothes disappeared, and with them his chakra and techniques." She pointed to one that resembled a strong maelstrom and said, "I see. Well, I have no use for them, but they are familiar, except for that one." Rika questioned, "What do you think it does?" "I have no idea," she shrugged. "Be sure to tell me when you find out." The end of the first flashback. Digimodify. Uzu's Revenge Activate was the card she grabbed from the top of her deck and swiped faster than she knew she could. To Rika's dismay, Naruto's form started to glow as data started to drop out of it, leaving him in his training form and continuing his descent. As the data gathered and settled into the water at the nearby Wonder Drop ride, she was unaware of it. A thick tendril of water caught him just as he was about to land rather painfully on the outer ring's bottom edge, gently laying him on the ground below. Rika felt relief, but as she was encircled by a similar water tendril, her relief gave way to shock and horror. She ran out of breath as the tendril drifted to the center of the wheel, where it appeared that more and more water was accumulating. She was forced to take a gasping breath by her body. She thought she would drown, but she was able to breathe normally. She was, to put it mildly, perplexed when she noticed several flymen stomping toward Naruto's prone form and landing on the ground below. A long tendril of water flew from the bubble and pierced one of the beast's backs as it fell away to data, shocking her as she reached out to him in desperation. As soon as the flymen turned to face her, they gathered around the big ball of water and stuck it with their stingers. Rika drew close to herself and hugged her knees tightly, but the stingers were only inches away. She saw 2 flymen still moving toward Naruto, who was still unconscious, through the throng of flapping wings and clacking mandibles. With a determined roar, she snapped her arms and legs outward, igniting a fire inside her. Hundreds of tiny water spikes erupted from all over the water sphere. Before they knew it, the flymen had vanished, and data particles had burst forth like a twisted light show. In order to knock 3 flymen out of the sky, Rika threw one arm wide and sent a whip-like extension of water. She then spun around and punched the 2 flymen that were approaching Naruto, the water enclosing them and holding them to the ground. She pushed forward, feeling pressure on her hands. Her hand barely made it through an invisible form, and the water pressure increased in response, crushing the two flymen to dust. As Rika frantically fought off the seemingly endless flymen, the ferry's wheel turned into an explosion of whipping water. However, as soon as they stopped, the last of the flymen welled to data and no more appeared, and a long tendril of Rika's tiered body was gently placed next to Naruto. Knowing that he was safe, she rolled to her side and grinned. Her body failed her, and she passed out, her head landing on Naruto's chest as her body fell into his side. As park security and the rider's relatives gathered, flashlights broke through the thin mist of the digital field. They hurried over as soon as they saw the two teenagers on the ground. It was odd but unimportant to find Rika wet and unconscious. They located Rika's phone, which amazingly worked, and called her grandmother's house to let them know what was going on. They also called an ambulance, which transported them to a nearby hospital. Rika was unharmed, but Naruto was suffering from an unidentified toxin. His body appeared to be shutting down and his heart rate was gradually decreasing. Rika's mother pushed her back down after she abruptly woke up and shot up in bed. She looked around. It was mostly white, with some shiny metallic tools and posters of human anatomy on the walls. Was she in the hospital? Her last memory was of fighting the flyman, then slowly collapsing, and then Naruto. They found you both out cold beside the Ferris wheel. They said something strange happened. Everyone was unconscious in their cars. They think you fell. What happened, Rika? That can wait, Rika remarked. Where is Naruto? With a small wince, Rina handed her a bag and said, your clothes are in there, get dressed, and we'll go see him. Rika nodded and proceeded to the bathroom, changing out of her hospital gown and into her regular clothes. She winced a little because her arms hurt so much from the previous experience. Since Naruto was a Digimon, why would he need to be in the hospital? Her mother led her through the hospital after she had been dressed, expecting them to be leaving. When her mother took her to the intensive care unit, she was shocked to see Naruto still unconscious and being fussed over by numerous medical professionals. With clipboards in hand, some of them took notes, others drew blood, and one of them ripped wildly through a book. Rika inquired, what happened? And why hasn't he woken up yet? They said it's some unknown toxin, attacking his vital organs, attempting to halt their function, and he doesn't have much time left, Kushina said, getting up from her seat next to the door and placing a hand on her shoulder. Rika gasped, that can't be right, he is a Digimon, he should be fine. There was plenty of data floating around after the flymen were destroyed, it should have healed him. Kushina sighed, there is something I didn't tell you. When I gave Naruto the upgrade, I essentially altered him. He came here a Digimon with a human soul, and he is now a human with the evolutionary capabilities of a Digimon. Rika wasn't paying attention. She had pushed past the doctors and placed a trembling hand on Naruto's face. This wasn't right because Naruto should have been warm and inviting. He was always smiling, laughing, and holding her. Initially taken aback, the doctors calmly started working around her after observing the expression on her face. Rika was in pain because she was his tamer, but damn it, she was powerless to save his life. Then she noticed his vest, with the gleaming handle of a kunai protruding from the pocket, resting on the chair close to the bed. She could assist him. He needed data, and it would assist him as it had in the past, provided he was still a Digimon. No, Rika firmly believed. He is a Digimon, my Digimon. A regular person can't survive this, and he has to survive this. She rushed to Naruto's vest, threw it on, and ran out the door just as her mother was approaching to console her. She had to save him, and she would do whatever it took to do so. His body appeared to be winning the battle against whatever toxin had affected him, and the doctors were working frantically, with no hope left. It appeared that there was no other option, but they didn't want to inform the boy's mother or his recently ex-girlfriend that he wouldn't be able to make it. The boy's mother stood up, but she shoved him away as the doctor started to deliver the news. Please, she whispered, leave us, I want to spend some time alone with my son. A few nurses quickly apologized to her as the doctors departed after giving her a sorrowful nod. Only Kushina and Rina remained after they left. I am going to save him, Kushina said. He has a mission to finish. I don't know what would happen if he died now, but I am not taking any chances. When Kushina started glowing and her body took on a pinkish aura, Rina was about to ask what she meant. She sat down and pulled her son up, holding him close to her chest. As the pink aura slowly moved from her lips across his forehead and down his chest, she gave him a gentle head kiss. Because it was so captivating, Rina was unaware that Kushina had started to fade from head to toe until she was just a happy face before drifting off. Her voice reverberated softly throughout the hospital room, stay strong, my little maelstrom. With one hand gripping her D-arc and the other fingering the kunai in Naruto's vest pocket, Rika ran and ran. She had to locate a bio. Emergence. She had no idea what to do once she did, but Naruto required the information. She would obtain the data that she required. This was it, her D-arc started to flash, and a holographic compass-like object appeared. The signal faded for an unknown reason as it led inside a building of some kind. Then she felt it after slapping it a few times without any result. She felt a presence behind her, saw her breath, her teeth chattering, and turned to see a tall, spectral figure climbing a set of stairs. She tried to follow it, but it simply vanished. The cold feeling came back as she leaned against the wall to catch her breath. As she screamed and was swept away, she felt two big, cold hands seize hold of her and cover her mouth. She was in a field of blue when she opened her eyes again, and she held herself because Naruto's vest did not do much to protect her from the icy cold. There was a fluttering noise, and she felt as though she was being held against a wall of ice by big, white, leathery wings. A voice as icy as the ice surrounding her said, "Welcome to my humble abode." Rika started to get her bearings again. This thing had wings and could talk, so it had to be. She inquired, "Are you a Digimon?" "Yes," the voice replied. "Do you like this digital field I have created? It suits you, the old you, the way you treated people, how you thought, you were cold as ice, you had no time for weak relationships. Then that weakling came along, and filled your head with nonsense, but you won't see him again, I made sure of that." With an angry shout, Rika asked, "What do you mean?" "Ah, you have no idea how exquisite you are when you're angry," the voice said wistfully. "I have waited a long time for someone like you. The flymen were easy enough to manipulate, with the competition gone I get to claim my prize." "I am not some prize," Rika shouted, "and I won't let Naruto die. I'll bring him your data and bring him back." She then took the kunai out of Naruto's left pocket and drove it deep into the creature's left wing, causing a large tear in the wing as she brought it down. As Rika stood holding the kunai in front of her with both hands gripped tightly, the beast let out a cry of pain and leapt back to gain some distance. He then laughed darkly. When Rika first saw it, she recognized it as IceDevimon. It had arms so long they almost dragged on the ground, a purple bat-like marking on its chest, and a primarily snow-white body. It was covered in belts and leather wraps, had an oddly shaped plate on its forehead, and violet eyes that were enraged. "Yes," he said, "you are perfect, not weak like the others, you will be mine, but first let me show you something." Suddenly, what appeared to be a sizable icy cave appeared where there had been only an endless expanse of deep blue. Rika must be on a roof somewhere because she saw a big sliding door at the far end that was fixed into a garage structure. Then she noticed the first icicle, which she initially dismissed as being just that, an icicle. Then she saw it, a furry maw twisted into a look of sheer horror, an animalistic figure frozen solid within. It was sickening to see the increasing number of figures in hundreds of icicles that her eyes darted around frantically, all frozen with horrified or pained expressions. Rika shouted, You're a monster. Better a strong monster than a weak nobody," IceDevimon replied. "For years I have hunted hundreds of Digimon and absorbed their data. They were friends to some, maybe even partners, but as you once believed they are only stepping stones." "I never said that." "Maybe not," the creature sneered, "but you believed it, until he came along, but with him out of the way you can claim a true Digimon, become a real tamer." The creature then easily covered Rika's forearm with its long clawed hand as it grabbed at her arm. She prepared to strike the object's arms with the kunai in her other hand, but it was stopped when that arm was grabbed. Rika gasped as her skin burned from the bitter cold of its skin. "Let her go," a voice shouted from the opposite doors. Rika briefly thought Naruto was back and would come to her rescue. The sight of the other two tamers and their Digimon put an end to that thought. The Digimon replied, drawing Rika between him and the boys and completely encircling her with both hands. "My new tamer and I were just getting acquainted." "She's not your tamer," Takato shot back, "but she has Naruto." He growled into Rika's ear, "I think it's time for an upgrade, don't you think?" She screamed, "Let go of me, you frozen freak." After a brief exchange of words, the two boys appeared to give an order as their Digimon charged. With a sly smile, IceDevimon said, "Goody goody, time to fight." The two Digimon slowed as they were encased in big blocks of ice, but it wasn't a fight. Instead, a blue aura from IceDevimon's eyes fell upon them like a pale blue flashlight. Guilmon no. Terriermon. It wasn't much of a fight, but it was undoubtedly a fantastic display of strength, and IceDevimon laughed uncontrollably as he reveled in the sport. After such a display, Rika would undoubtedly accept him as her Digimon. If she didn't, there are multiple ways to skin a Gatomon. Henry attempted to use the heat modify card after failing to break the ice, but it appeared that the ice was too cold for even that to be effective. Henry frowned while IceDevimon kept laughing. He called, "Where is Naruto? I don't understand." Naruto, said Rika, her eyes stinging from the tears she whispered, he's gone. IceDevimon cackled. I watched as he was pierced by the stingers of no less than 6 flymen. No Digimon could survive that. He must be no more than a bit of data floating within an Okuamon somewhere if the flyman was lucky enough to digivolve after absorbing his data. Any Digimon, Rika thought, that can't be right. Naruto is in the hospital right now. The hospital. Surely they would have noticed if he was anything but human. Dear Kami. She gritted her teeth and said, the poison is killing him, he's dying, he's dying. The realization that he was human caused Rika's world to collapse. He was lying dying on a hospital bed, and she was powerless to stop this monster. She couldn't win. A human couldn't defeat a Digimon, and she had no idea if it would even work now, so she would never get him the data. The night she sent him off into the unknown, he took the stingers to the back to protect her, and she gasped inwardly. He shouldn't have been there, it's my fault, and he was always human even before the upgrade. She thought, I let him fight, I let him go, knowing how dangerous it could be, because I believed that even if something went wrong, he'd be okay. He wasn't human. I am cold-hearted. I used him. I don't deserve to be a tamer. I don't deserve Naruto. I'm so sorry, Naruto, she said, choking back tears that fell to the icy floor. Hope was shining in Rika's eyes as she looked up and gasped her tears, stopping their mournful journey down her pale cheeks as a huge explosion from the frozen ceiling blasted shards of ice everywhere. In the moonlight, a silhouette with a spiky mop of hair and a billowing cloak could be seen emanating from the newly formed hole. Listen here, Makino Rika, a confident voice said, boosting Rika's confidence. Rika finished wiping the tears from her eyes as Naruto fell from the entire landing beside her, offering her a hand up. I will not tolerate moodiness from my tamer. Grinning broadly, he said, you're forgiven, so just forget about it. Naruto, she yelled, leaping to embrace him, her head resting just below his chin. You're still alive, I thought you were dead. Kasen gave me what was left of her data. Whatever was in me was purged and her card showed up. I left it with your mom for safekeeping, he responded. When horrid laughter started to fill the room, Rika and Naruto turned to see IceDevimon laughing uncontrollably before giving Naruto a stern look. It seems you are more resilient than I thought, he said angrily. No matter, now I can destroy you and show Rika once and for all who is the superior Digimon. She will be my tamer. You won't stand in my way, weakling. Rika grabbed Naruto's arm and stopped him in his tracks, saying, no, don't, he's too strong. Naruto gently removed her hand. Nonsense, he said, it's my job to protect you. I have faced stronger than him. I have battled men who were known as gods. A frigged excuse for a champion level will be a piece of cake. But, Rika began, but Naruto cut her off. I'm your partner, I was brought here to fight by your side and that is what I plan to do, Rika. Rika frowned. He was putting himself in danger once more, thinking it was his mission and doing it for her. Who was she to tell him that he had to fight again after a lifetime of war? Naruto hurried forward to meet IceDevimon, who was charging at them with 2 kunai, one in each hand, before she could say anything more. As the shinobi held them in a guard position, crossing in a X formation, the fallen angle threw his arm forward with a cry of frozen claw, and his clawed hand collided with Naruto's kunai. Naruto was about to throw the kunai aside when the force shook his bones and the extreme cold froze them together, but IceDevimon's speed far outstripped his. The beast launched another frozen claw attack directly into his stomach with his other clawed hand. He felt as though his blood was frozen, and a horrible, icy burning sensation spread across his stomach as he was blasted upward, gasping in agony. He landed painfully with his head spinning after hitting the ceiling and suffering a frozen claw to the head that sent him sprawling into the wall. With his body hurting all over and his current form not being able to match the speed and power of this advanced champion form, IceDevimon laughed as Naruto made a futile attempt to stand up. As Rika's eyes glowed with guile, she saw Naruto struggle to his feet and rush the fallen angle before being backhanded into the side of an icicle. Why do you look at him like that? IceDevimon called back to her. A Digimon is only useful if it can fight. Tell me, why do you care for this pathetic creature? As Naruto leaned painfully against the broken remnants of the ice cone he had just been flung into, Rika observed. Blood stained his arms and face, forming gleaming red streaks down his face that appeared to have frozen as soon as it left his body. I care because he isn't a Digimon, said Rika softly at first, but then she became determined. Takato and Henry gasped at this, and IceDevimon turned to Rika thoughtfully. The fallen angle questioned, then what, Pret El, is he my dear future tamer? Rika scowled. I will never be your tamer. I will never be a tamer. He is Uzumaki Naruto, not a Digimon, he is my friend. Digivolution. As the ice started to melt and the gory frozen Digimon vanished, a warm wind ripped through the area. As the wind subsided, Naruto stood in front of IceDevimon in his champion form, grinning broadly as a tiny wind vortex blew at his feet, melting the ice with every step he took. Rika watched in disbelief. How could he still digivolve when he was human? Then she recalled what Kushina had said, which she had attempted to ignore out of sorrow. IceDevimon threw a frozen claw at Naruto, which he caught at the wrist as she watched. Despite IceDevimon's best efforts to break free, he was dragged forward and kicked in the chest. The only remnant of his icy digital field was the frozen wall, which he struck as he flew across the roof. As he started to pry himself free, Naruto reappeared in front of him, snatching both of his long arms and spinning him around before throwing him toward the ceiling. He anticipated hitting hard ground as he struck hard and started to fall, his torn wing preventing flight. As Naruto screamed, "Rasengan!" and smashed a spiraling ball of energy between his wings, poor deluded IceDevimon felt his data being ripped apart and then nothing. Naruto silently prayed that this angle wouldn't fall again as he watched the data drift away to nothing. He turned back to where he knew Rika was expecting a pat on the back rather than a slap across the face. He rolled around on the floor in a comical manner, clutching his nose in pain. Naruto whimpered, "Rika-chan, what was that for?" "For being stupid and charging in like that," she said. "I nearly had to watch you die a second time." Henry and Takato trying different cards to free their partners were the only sounds that could be heard as Naruto fell silent. Rika glared at him, and he turned to face her. Was he to let the thing take her, or what? "Naruto," Rika said, "why do you fight? Isn't this supposed to be your second chance? You shouldn't have to fight anymore, you should be able to live a life like you want to, not shackled to my fights." Naruto answered, "They are our fights, Rika, you're my tam." "I am not," she cried. "You are not a Digimon, you're my friend. How can I let you fight monsters like that knowing I could very well be sending you to your death? By understanding that not letting me fight would be tantamount to damning me to hell." Takato and Henry suppressed a gasp of surprise as Rika's pale skin grew paler. With hesitation, Rika questioned, "What do you mean?" "The demon," Naruto said, "its sins tainted my soul. If I don't help you in the upcoming conflict, I will be sent to hell, its past transgressions weighing me down and dragging me into the fire and torment." "So you only fight because—" "No," Naruto said, "I fight because I care for you. You are my most precious person, and if you care for me you will let me fight, and be by my side through the thick of it." Despite her intense blush, Rika managed to control it. That was how much she meant to him. She is the one who could save him. She didn't want him to suffer, but she couldn't condemn him to an eternity of agony, where that damn fox would most likely be waiting for him. Digimon released the two rookies as the digital field collapsed around them, restoring the rooftop to its typical appearance. Rika's smile was genuine. "Just promise me you won't die," she said, "and this time mean it, ninja boy." "I promise," Naruto said. "I can't leave you behind, not before I see more of this world, experience more, find something I never could in my previous life. Would you help me find it, Rika? I need a partner on this new journey through my second life. What do you say, tamer?" "I don't know if I will be much help, but like you said before," said Rika as she advanced to the door, followed by Naruto. "You are precious to me, and I will help you in any way I can, as I have only recently started living, and this is my second chance as well," Rika said, pausing before the door and turning to face him. She stopped leaning against Naruto's back and jogged forward, lifting her hand to slap his as she went. "I know one thing for sure," she muttered, "I am no longer a tamer." After that, she jumped onto an air conditioner, sprang high over the fence, threw her arms wide, and yelled. Henry called out, "Rika, what the hell?" Takato exclaimed. After smirking and vanishing in a whirlpool of leaves, Naruto reappeared in front of Rika, who put her arms around his neck while he grabbed her thighs and kicked off the wall. The two tamers watched with smiles as they sailed across the sky. "Those two," laughed Henry. Takato sighed and said, "She's crazy for jumping like that." They went home for the night with their Digimon, who was a little shivering. As they flew from rooftop to rooftop on their way home, the wind whipped at her face. This was such a thrill that Rika would never grow weary of it. "Rika," called Naruto, "did you mean what you said earlier?" "About what?" That was her response. Happy that she couldn't see the blush that painted his features, he asked, "About me being precious to you?" "Yeah, you're my best friend, Naruto," Rika blushed. "Right, my best friend, who nearly died for me, considers me the most precious thing in his life, and happens to be gorgeous," Rika was thinking. Rika sighed. Her feelings were complicated, and she was scared that if they pursued something, he would die or that it wouldn't work out and she would lose her first real friend. "Best friend," sighed Naruto, "it's a jump start." Let's get home, Naruto said. I wouldn't want for the cloak to run down, I am wearing a hospital gown. Rika blushed. Why would you go and do that? You could have gotten dressed, you idiot. I was in a hurry, and the data Kasen gave me sent me directly to rookie form. Speaking of which, Rika stated gravely, will the card function once more? I hope so, Rika, Naruto said in a whisper after becoming quiet. If not, I just got her, and I knew she would be leaving eventually, but I need her. Before she caught herself and shook the thoughts away, Rika nodded into his back, relishing the warmth of its robust, wide surface. It'll work, Rika replied. She still has to teach me about being an Uzumaki woman. Naruto flushed so badly that he almost stumbled. Despite her laughter at the response, Rika felt compelled to ask Kushina more questions because Naruto seemed to adore her ramen. If you ever find a woman who can handle this crazy situation we're in, Rika hurriedly added. Yeah. Naruto nodded with a radiant smile. Some woman. One former tamer was preparing for a demanding day at school on this morning at the Makino residence. The girls in the class were probably wondering what she had done the previous evening and why she hadn't attended classes the day before. She envied Naruto because he didn't have to go to school, so she wasn't really looking forward to that. It seems that he had already gone through all of that once, and he refused to register even after Rika's mother persisted in pursuing him, gushing about how nice he would look in a school uniform and talking endlessly about dances and festivals that he could take Rika to. When Naruto was sleeping on his rock by the pond, Rika decided to side with him in the argument. She now regrets it. She smirked slyly as she walked by, bumping him roughly and sending him splashing into the water. I didn't see you there, Naruto, she said with a laugh. Gazing up at her, Naruto sat in the water with his weight supported on his arms. You're lucky you have school today or you'd be right down here with me, Rika-chan. Rika gave him a startling display of immaturity by sticking her tongue out before strolling out the gate. Good one, said a recognizable voice, I'm happy you've begun to relax a little. Cushion. Say it right, Kushina chided, and you're the only one who can hear me, so don't talk out loud, people will think you're a loony. Loony, she scoffed, I must be a bit of a loon, haunted by the spirit of my best friend's mother. I'm not haunting you, I am still in the card, she replied. For some reason Kami decided to allow me to stay. Summoning me cost an evolutionary level's worth of power, so be careful. I'd like to come out from time to time, but there is no rush. In all honesty, it's not all that bad in here. It's quite roomy despite being a card, and there is a comfy bed. Every manner of food I can imagine, it's like a 5-star resort. All I need is a nice sauna or a hot bath. That's good to hear, Kasen, Rika said, genuinely pleased that the chatty woman had won her over, even if only slightly. Naruto will be very pleased to hear that, so why talk to me instead of him? When Rika pulled the item from her bag, she explained, it has something to do with D-Arc. It's a symbol of your partnership, it connects you, and you can feel each other's hearts through it. More gently than before, Rika took it in both hands and said, Naruto's heart. Kushina grinned as she looked at her card. They needed a little push to get going. Yes, it's very important. Right now you are the closest to it. You swipe the cards, you always keep it with you. It has a great connection to your heart. I am speaking from the card using the D-Arc as a medium. That is why you can hear me. It's also how Naruto found you so easily last night. He's always with you. He found you through the link you have to his heat, the very one you hold in your hands. Protect it. If the D-Arc is destroyed, so is the bond, and it won't be a clean break, it would destroy him. Rika held the D-Arc close to her chest and asked aloud, am I strong enough to protect this bond? As she halted her walk to school in front of the park where she and Naruto had eaten their snow cones just days earlier. I will do it. I will protect this bond, my partner's heart. I can't let him keep playing hero for me, she said as she eagerly walked the same route to school. Everyone needs a hero, Rika, Kushina whispered. The strongest of people need someone to rely on, at the risk of sounding cliched. I believe you are the hero my son needs, as much as you need him. When things go wrong you should always look to each other, because you will always be there, partners, friends. Maybe more, Rika thought, but she quickly shook herself out of the idea. Kushina had a way of romanticizing everything, and in this instance, her speech was more about the bond between lovers than it was about friends or partners. Rika was frightened because she was drawn in by her words due to the truth they contained. When her mind wandered, she would find herself having humorous fantasies about the two of them together, though she would not confess this to anyone. She would always brush off such thoughts as her boredom, finding a way to be expressed by conjuring up the most improbable of ideas. She had a slight flush as she entered her school's front gates and saw the throngs of girls chatting in the courtyard and giving her sly glances. I really need to stop thinking about this, it's giving me a headache. Kushina reasoned, I can't have her all worked up over it or it will just take longer, but she should really just admit her feelings to herself. Her words were, "Hey Rika. Chan, want to play 20 questions?" Rika grinned, assuming Kushina had heard her, and was grateful for the diversion from her jumbled thoughts. It also didn't hurt that, even though she claimed to despise the game, she actually excels at 20 questions. It was time to retaliate against Kushina for all of her taunting. Shujti. The city was nice enough, but he would much rather spend his time in the park because the smog and noise were getting to him. Naruto scanned the streets from the building he was on. He hadn't taken the time to fully explore this new world. He had already seen a few strange things, like cars, but they ran on coal or steam, and they gave off foul smoke that would occasionally pop up as Naruto ran from rooftop to rooftop, making him gag and cough. The streets were still crowded. There must be millions of people in this city, and the buildings themselves were larger than any he had ever seen. They reached high into the sky, higher than he thought possible. "Help!" A woman's voice cried, "Please help me." A young woman with bright blonde hair was pinned against the wall by a large thug, who had a blade to her neck while two other thugs searched through a bag he thought belonged to her. Naruto ran to the opposite edge of the building he was on and, looking 4 stories down, he saw something that made his blood boil. The man yelled, "Shut up, what do we have, man? It's just a bunch of makeup and some gum." The man behind him who had dropped the bag and picked up a bat said, "We thought since you were a foreigner you'd have some vacation money on ya." The knife wielding one said, grinning gruesomely at the young blonde. The girl squealed as the blade was pressed into her neck, causing some blood to be drawn. "I told you I was born her IA," she said. "I said shut up," he growled, "since you ain't got any cash you'll just have to pay up some other way." From his vantage point, Naruto could see that many people heard and saw what was happening, but they chose to ignore the young woman who was about to be raped, in broad daylight, no less. He gritted his teeth as he jumped from his perch and landed lightly on the dirty concrete of the alleyway. The man took the blade from her neck and replaced it with his hand while holding the woman tightly against the wall. He then slid the knife under the hem of her shirt and started to cut it slowly upward. Naruto said, "Let her go, creep." The woman collapsed to the ground, watching the altercation from a dumpster as the 3 thugs turned around, expecting a fight, only to laugh at the young boy standing behind them. With a cocky smirk, the only unarmed thug approached Naruto and placed an arm on his shoulder, his breath heavy with tobacco and alcohol too strong for such an early hour of the day. The other 3 thugs circled Naruto, laughing darkly as the one with the bat rested it on his shoulders. "Kid," he said with a laugh, "you should just get out of here while you can, we wouldn't want to have to hurt you." Naruto smirked and snorted in disgust as he glanced at the other 2, who were thugs with no training and who were so at ease that they didn't perceive him as a threat. Growling, "Get your arm off me," he said. The person who was holding him yelled, "Get this punk," and the thugs laughed. As Naruto moved to the right, he grabbed the thug's arm over his shoulder and flipped him over. The thug with the bat raised it with both hands, intending to drop it on Naruto's head, but Naruto blocked it with his hand before it could reach its target. With a mutter, "Weak." The thug struggled in vain to free the bat from the boy's grasp, but Naruto pulled him forward into a devastating knee to the gut, causing him to see stars and land directly on top of his fallen friend. He was only saved by instinct, as the blade that had been intended to stab him in the back ended up sailing over his head. Naruto grabbed his opponent's arm and kicked the man multiple times in the chest and midsection before throwing him into the dumpster with his shoulder. Dusting himself off, he laughed a little and said, "Maybe I overdid it," before turning to face the girl in the corner, who was trembling. "Nope, they got off easy." He approached the girl and leaned down to give her a quick shake. "Are you alright, miss? They're down for the count, so it's safe now." Before he knew it, he was thrown to the ground while the woman sobbed into his chest and thanked him. Naruto simply comforted her by stroking her hair until she was fine, and then they got up. The woman's face was marred by tears, and her shirt was a complete mess. Naruto offered her his vest, which she accepted with a slight blush before putting it on and taking a sip. "Are you okay to go home?" The girl nodded, and just as Naruto turned to leave the ally, she grabbed his arm and pulled back, kissing his cheek. Naruto blushed a little, realizing that she was a pretty girl, and he had to give himself a mental slap as he started to wish that he had just saved Rika. "Thank you," she said. "I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come." She hesitated and asked for a name, but Naruto knew he couldn't give it to her because he didn't actually exist in this world. "Your codename is Zoro," a voice from his past said, which means fox or foxy in an old language. "Ba. Chan." Naruto flipped backwards, hitting the wall and pushing off towards the roof. "My name is Zoro," he said. "I'll watch out for you." After watching in awe, the girl told her friends that Zoro, a superhero of some sort, had saved her. Rika was furiously upset with Kushina 3 hours into class. How on earth am I going to find out who Hashirama Senju is? He was the first Hokage, everyone knows that. Kushina laughed. Honestly, it's basic history, 5-year-olds know that. We're not in the elemental countries, in case you forgot. I've never heard of Hashirama Senju, and I don't know anyone named Zabuza Momochi. What the devil is, eh? Sorry, I kind of forgot, she said with a nervous laugh. The other girls had gathered around Rika at lunchtime, curious to find out what had been going on with her and the boy with the whiskers. So, who is he? One person inquired. Rika sighed. He's my best friend. He is having family troubles, so he had to move into the city. He is staying at my house until things settle down. While some of the girls were still wondering why Rika had skipped school the day before and what she had done the night before, others squealed about how unfair it was that she was allowed to live in the same house as such a hottie, and wasn't even attempting to date him. I went to the amusement park with Naruto, Fishcake is his name. In any case, I was absent from school for the same reason. You heard about what transpired at Tokyo Dome City, right? It's Maelstrom, Rika said, sounding much more defensive than she intended to, which caused some of the girls to smile oddly at her. The girls nodded, and the news was filled with strange fog, people getting hurt, and people talking about giant monsters. She said, we were at the top of the Ferris wheel when it happened, which made some of the girls gasp. I fell, and he jumped after me. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here. I stayed at the hospital yesterday because he was there. The girls let out a chorus of AWWWS as they started talking about how fortunate they were to have someone go that far for them and how lucky they were to have Rika. Rika had only spoken to them to divert her attention from the tedious game of 20 questions. She had changed the story, but it was essentially the same thing. Naruto had actually almost died for her, leaving himself vulnerable to attack in order to protect her, and she was truly fortunate to have him, as a friend of course. At that moment, she saw that all of her classmates were gathered around a single desk, and one of them turned to face her. As she stood at the edge of the large crowd, she saw what they were all staring at. A fight on a small cell phone screen, 12 on 1, and it appeared to be a gang fight. The boy in the middle was wearing a makeshift mask made out of 2 bandanas, and he was easily defeating the 12 armed thugs. Within minutes, the thugs were down, and Rika's breath caught when the person behind the camera got a better look at the fighter's face. What is that fool thinking he's doing? Probably just trying to help people. As I watched him grow up, he always gave his all to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. He was a ninja of the people. What happens if he is injured? What happens if he encounters some armed criminals? Worried Rika. Chan. Kushina laughed. You don't need to be. Fighting is in his blood and he is a ninja. He only fought them like that cause he knew they were no threat, and he was having fun. Rika reluctantly consented, but she made a promise to speak with Naruto about needlessly putting himself in danger as soon as he left class. Naruto was having a good time, laughing to himself as he bounded across the rooftops. He always had a thing for helping people in need, so he filled his time with mission after mission. He spent 6 months working with some sort of witness protection program, hunting down thieves and helping out neighboring villages with bandit problems. Aside from fighting Rouge Digimon, he was genuinely bored there. Since there was no safe haven for such criminals and the ninja made up 1/4 of the village's population, their missions kept them out of sight at all times, and they looked no different from civilians when they were not on duty. Picking targets became a matter of life and death. This was the reason why people loved living in Konoha so much, the safety it offered. Even though it was barely 2 in the afternoon and he had already dealt with a few muggings and some gang violence, it was madness. The satisfied looks of the people he helped and the shocked looks of the police officers as he leapt away into the sky were priceless. Here in this city, where the civilian population outnumbered the law enforcement 100 to 1, crime ran rampant in the seedier parts, leaking over into view far more often than wanted. Taking off his makeshift mask, he descended into an alleyway and emerged onto the city streets, pausing to gaze at a nearby electronics store whose televisions showed his most well-known altercation, a hostage situation at a convenience store, before switching to an interview with the girl he had rescued earlier, still wearing his black vest, as she recalled their encounter and gave the reporter the name he had given her. He smiled as he heard some kids whispering about superheroes and other such things. He was strolling through the park when he sensed that someone was watching him. He followed his shadow to a less populated area, the same place where he had first met Takato and Gilman. When he turned to face the person, he saw a man standing directly in front of him. He was wearing a black suit with black shades, and his short, light brown hair gave him a businessman's appearance. He kept clicking and flipping a lighter nervously, which suggested that he was quitting smoking. Is there anything I can do to assist you? Naruto inquired. When the man stopped 3 feet in front of Naruto, he was a little taken aback by his voice's abrupt interruption of the silence. Yes, it's definitely you. You have caused us quite a bit of trouble, you know that? Naruto said, fixing his eyes on him as he approached slowly and cursed the man's glasses, wondering what he could be thinking. Do you realize how difficult it was to keep you off the covers of all the Japanese medical journals while hiding all of your adventures, particularly the madness at Tokyo Dome City? Even now, when you're playing hero and gallivantly walking around the city. By all this, do you mean? Who is this? What I mean, the man said smugly, Hypnos. The group I work for, the appearance of Digimon all over the city, we call them wild ones. After seeing some of those idiot children making them into pets. We find them, we study them, and we destroy them. I had originally thought that we would have to take you out as well, but the medical report says you are indeed human. Naruto felt a little uneasy because a shadowy group was pursuing Digimon and attempting to eliminate him. This man unnerved him, so he put his hand in his pocket and fingered the kunai he kept there for protection. What is it you want from me then, Mr. Yamaki? And what I want is for you to keep up the good work. You have a power we could use at Hypnos, and we will use you. We will alert you to any bio emergencies, you take them out. I am no one's tool, Naruto says dangerously. I have been fighting wild ones, because they are a danger to the innocent people of this city. I will continue to fight, but not for you. That's sad to hear, Yamaki said, sounding bored. We could provide you with anything you could need, even an identity. We looked around, Mr. Uzumaki. You don't exist, not in Japan, not anywhere. Wouldn't it be a shame if we stopped covering for you? If you were found out, people would come, they'd seek your power and do anything to get it. Even hurt your precious Rika. Yamaki laughed when Naruto ridged his head, saying, we know all about you. Now if you don't want any harm to come to Ak. Suddenly, Naruto was behind Yamaki, holding a kunai at his neck. A moment later, a dozen men appeared from the nearby trees, their guns aimed at Naruto's back. Listen to me, Naruto growled, if you ever hurt her, I will end you. In a past life I was a killer. I am not shy to spilling blood, and yours will be spilt if you so much as touch her. Slowly moving the blade across his neck, Naruto created a small cut from which a line of blood spurted. Very, very slowly your blood will spill, Yamaki. As the man struggled to his feet, he stabbed the kunai into the ground behind Yamaki's fallen form before pushing him forward with a final yell and jumping to the trees. The shooter pursued, but Yamaki knew they wouldn't catch him as he whipped the blood from his neck and raised the blade from the ground while gazing icily into the tree line. Damn, Naruto was leaning against his usual wall by the Makino pond at 4 in the afternoon. He was, until he witnessed a furious Rika storm through the gate and stomp toward him. He gestured placatingly with his hands. He said, whatever it is, I didn't do it. So it wasn't you gallivanting about the city saving the day like something out of a manga? Rika asked, standing with her arms folded and glaring at him. There's that word again, Naruto smiled. Gallivanting, what's it mean anyway? Rika glanced to the right and then shouted, as if to no one, it doesn't matter what the word means. That's not the point, it's... After a brief silence during which she continued to stare into space, she spoke abruptly once more, saying, I don't care if you want to know what it means, I am trying to get onto him for acting stupid. As she continued talking to herself, Naruto was staring at her in an odd way. Who said anything about a cake? You keep trailing off, I have no idea what you are saying. Naruto muttered, ah, Rika. Chan, who are you speaking to? When Rika realized her error, she shot him a, are you serious? Look and said, I'm talking to your mother, she speaks through the card and, oh okay. He attempted to pick up her D-arc, but she put it in her hand instead, she had taken it from her bag. As she turned away, Rika blushed slightly and said, we both have to hold it, for you to establish a connection. Naruto laughed. Her hands were soft, for such a rough girl she takes care of herself, must have picked it up from her mother without realizing it. Rika's blushing became more intense for some reason, which seemed odd to Naruto until he heard his mother. I know what you mean, Naru. Chan, she laughed, she can be downright girly sometimes. Kasen? Naruto inquired before turning to face Rika, who was flushed, and saying, you heard that, did you? Rika muttered to herself, idiot. It's like a three-way call of the mind, Kushina stated, as long as you both hold it, we can all hear each other. Only Naruto actually needed to touch the D-arc for it to function. Kushina kept to herself. Rika was even happier with her choice because of her flushed face and Naruto's apparent enjoyment of the contact. Kasen, does this mean you can come back? Yes, but you don't have to do it right now. I can still talk to you and my connection to Rika allows me to see what's going on through her eyes. So only call me out when you really need me, and be careful, it cost a whole evolutionary level to give me enough data to last a day. After I show up you will be locked into your current level, so if you did it now you would be stuck as a 6-year-old until I either left on my own or the card timed out. That's great, Cousin. I was afraid I wouldn't see you again, Naruto replied. A sudden squeal cut off Kushina's response, and when Naruto and Rika turned to face the gate, they saw Rina smiling broadly and skipping in their direction. She was still grinning broadly when she got to their side and tightly grasped their joined hands. I just knew you would, she laughed. It didn't even take a week. Kushina owes me cooking lessons. Rika sighed. Cousin, I told her you two would be together before the week was out, but she said no. Rika's too stubborn, she would never admit it. Rika spoke a little more firmly. Cousin. Serves her right. I knew you had it in you. It's the Makino blood. Red-faced, Rika exclaimed. Cousin. We are speaking to Kush. Ah, Cousin, and she can hear you right now? Head moving from left to right, Rina raised their joined hands and said, Where is she? I can't see her anywhere. Naruto remarked, She's kind of in Rika's head, adding, It's complicated. Rika hurriedly added, We have to hold hands like this in order for us to both speak with her. Rina gave them both a critical look, while Rika blushed a little in spite of herself and Naruto grinned his typical toothy grin. Kushina, you genius. Rina winked as she went inside, saying, Whatever you say, I'll see you two later. I have a shoot to get ready for, and I'll be home by dinner. Rika let go of Rina as well. I'm going to get dressed, we'll go get an ice cream or something at the park. I don't feel like being inside today, school gave me cabin fever. Cabin fever, which means that you need to be outside but not get laid. Takato and Henry appeared somewhat agitated after they spent the majority of the day aimlessly strolling through the park. Naruto watching out for Yumaki because he had decided not to tell Rika about that incident. Terriermon was holding on to Henry's shoulder. Rika called, Hey Gogglehead. Although she didn't know them well, they were the closest friends she had besides Naruto. Where's the dinosaur? She asked, playing hide and seek. No, Takato said, exasperated. Guilman stays here in the park in an old equipment shed, but when we came to see him but he was gone, we can't find them anywhere. We think someone may have found him or something, Henry added, but he should be around here somewhere unless someone took him. But the question is who would want to take him? No one noticed Naruto's slight fidgeting. Yumaki, if you're behind this you will pay. In an uncommon display of concern, Rika said, Calm down. They're probably out there right now just playing around. Everything is fine. Takato sighed and said, Yeah, I guess you're right. At that moment, a blue streak of energy hit the ground in the distance and burst into a cloud of gray smoke. He joked, That doesn't look fine to me. Does that look fine to you? Rika frowned. Shut it, Gogglehead. Henry noted, It's near the school. Yeah, Takato replied. Someone ought to take action. The three of them stood looking into the distance. Henry chuckled lightly as Terriermon suppressed his laughter, Rika stunned by Takato's lack of sophistication, and Naruto with his face in his palm. When Takato realized, Oh wait, that's us. You're hopeless, Rika chuckled. The typically stoic girl's laughter was enough to start a group giggle, but it was cut off as they all started running in the direction of the school, Naruto trailing behind them through the trees. Takato noted that the cloud appeared to be concentrated around the field where someone had been breaking into the shed and using the chalk liner. After clearing the haze, they discovered Guilman and a small white Digimon being attacked by a tiny gray goblin. Like Digimon that was flying around. The Digimon had bat-like wings attached to its back and pointed yellow fingers. Vileman, said Henry, reading from his D-Arc, beware of its nightmare shocker attack, champion level. Takato remarked, Guys, let me take this one. What? Rika questioned. Why should we? Henry, you guys took down Gorillaman. Rika, you and Naruto have fought quite a few Digimon already. I want to prove I have what it takes. Henry was content to avoid conflict. He knew that fighting was sometimes required, but that didn't mean he had to enjoy it. Rika nodded grudgingly. With one of his long, prehensile ears, the terrier patted Guilman's head and said, Good luck, big guy. Besides, I have a new card I wanted to try out, and this little guy is pretty quick, so it's perfect. Regretfully, Vileman took offense at his little guy remark. Nightmare shocker, he cried as he turned to face the group and hurled a beam of energy at them. Takato and Henry dove to the left and right, respectively, while Naruto swiftly seized Rika by the waist and leapt into the mists. When Naruto reappeared, he was still clinging to a slightly flushed Rika, who was fighting to break free. Hold still, he said, if he fires again I have to be able to get you out of the way, we barely avoided that last one. Rika sat down grudgingly, crossing her arms, huffing and blushing, which was fast becoming a common occurrence on her pallid face. Okay, Takato said, get ready Guilman, Digimodify. Hyperwing activate. Guilman's back glowed with light, and iridescent angelic wings appeared. Guilman approached Vileman with the intention of tearing him in two. but Vileman quickly ducked out of the way and threw out its small arm while yelling, "Demon darts." Guilliman was knocked squarely in the back by the blue flaming needles. "Are you okay, boy?" inquired Takato. As he stood up again, Guilliman moaned, "That lil guy packs a punch, Takato." Takato pulled a card out of his deck and said, "Well, this should slow him down enough for you to pay him back for it. Activate the Digimodify magical ring." Vileman was surrounded by a glowing golden ring that gradually shrank to a real golden band around his waist, while his wings continued to flutter wildly to support the extra weight. He did everything he could to avoid a painful fall. Guilliman, bring him down to earth, and then blast him. "Right!" Guilliman exclaimed, jumping up at the small imp. When Guilliman got to him, he flipped in midair and sent Vileman hurtling to the ground with his tail, a variation of the move they used in his fight with Naruto. Vileman's image trembled a little as he touched down, like a picture from a malfunctioning TV. Guilliman used a potent pyrosphere to finish it. Takato hurried up to embrace Guilliman around the neck as he kneeled in front of him, and he landed safely on the ground. As Takato put it, "You did great, boy, you'll digivolve in no time." With innocent innocence, Guilliman said, "Can we get bread now?" Rika, Naruto, and Henry with Terriermon emerged beside the two as the digital field faded. As Henry placed a hand on Takato's shoulder and nodded in approval, Terriermon landed on Guilliman's head and gave it a firm pat. "The flip was a nice touch, but your tough talk could use some work, Gogglehead." "Ahem," Rika said theatrically, grabbing everyone's attention. "I'll give you a B for strategy, a B for execution, and a C for style." Holding Rika by the waist, Naruto laughed and said, "That's Rika for great job, Takato." Rika didn't seem to notice. Takato grinned and said, "Thanks, Rika. I'll aim for straight as the next time." "Don't be so sure," Rika said smugly. "You do something useful once and suddenly people expect it all the time. You were graded on a goggle head curve this time. Next time you'll have to work for the grade, Takato." Henry continued the metaphor by saying, "We are all aiming for the same grade, so why don't we study together and work as a team?" Henry extended his hand, which Takato quickly imitated. A floppy bunny ear and a red clawed paw followed. After watching, Rika sighed in frustration and slapped her hand down on top of Naruto's, who then gave her a light squeeze while his words echoed in her head, "You can trust them. Let's make some new friends, Rika." Not knowing or caring if he heard, she thought, "Only for you, Naruto. Let's work together to protect our home, and help the good ones find theirs," he said with a radiant smile. They all raised their arms in a collective shout of triumph, though Rika's raised hers a little and gave a halting whoopee. Her smile, however, perfectly captured the moment. They were now a team, working together to defend their values. They would be Tokyo's unsung heroes. The city, no, the world, and God knows it needs them.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.